Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Bobby Brink assisted on the first goal. 4 points against the Bengals. Tomasino! Oh, what a goal! What a goal! And the Penguins are on the board.
Back out to Bajemski, slicing through the lane, lost the handle. Curry to beat the buzzer for three. Good! Steph's got 12 threes!
And I act like it was on purpose. Williams. Davis. Oh! As Wu-Tang would say, bring the ruckus. What a big-time finish. And one. But this was on purpose.
Gotta go. Gillespie for three. Call him no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh! Oh, my goodness. Holloman from half court to win it on the road.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and I hope the rest of you are living as good as the state of Michigan, apparently, because, wow.
She's giving me some Ravi mom vibes. You see that commercial?
I did not. I also did not.
She kind of remind you of your mom?
I didn't see her at all. I didn't.
What the world? You look dead at it.
I wasn't like
didn't lie.
processing, you know? It's like when I'm looking outside, I'm not actually looking at anything, and you think somebody's out there trying to get us.
Oh, man.
I'm just kind of like staring off in the distance, you know?
Maybe some mom vibes.
I also didn't realize we had CBS Sports Network on here. Well, otherwise,
No, that's gonna get changed.
Otherwise, I would have told Shane to delay the intro. Just play some more Steph Curry highlights for me.
Yeah, good. I'm telling you, they're kind of finding it.
They have a pulse.
They're kind of finding it. It's not unfortunate. I'm happy when I get to see the best players play in more meaningful games.
Yeah.
So I'm never gonna be mad about that.
Yeah.
Right. I want all the good players in the postseason as possible.
Absolutely.
Especially when I think you're capable of. So you know what's funny? This is totally squirrel.
What's that?
I watched this show.
Oh, Boomer and Gio?
For whatever the reason, and sometimes you know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
It's if a game was on the night before, because I turn on the TV immediately.
Yeah.
Which I did at 2:09 last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was asleep from like 12:10 to 2:09.
That's like almost 2 full hours.
Yeah.
You actually have me beat yesterday.
I went back, and I kind of dozed back off.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch anything worth a damn.
There wasn't a lot.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
Mm-mm.
I wasn't league passing the Curry. I wasn't league passing Curry. I did watch Michigan Rutgers because I had made my Rutgers bet yesterday.
That's very, very good call.
I mean, it wasn't really. It was lucky because, to your point,
You need some of that.
you do. But to your point, like, there's no handicapping Rutgers.
It just isn't. It's a crapshoot.
I also
literally.
don't think there's a lot of handicapping Michigan. Like, there's
So you know what's funny?
a lot of variance there.
And I get it, because the more I do this thing and I talk about, because now I'm like the random weird team consultant.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll get a message. Hey, I know you watch.
Yeah. How do you feel about
Hey,
this
how do you
Horizon
like
League
this?
team? Yeah.
Or whatever, right? Which is cool.
Yeah.
But I also think you were right with sometimes I assume people consume sports the way that I do.
Yeah, and
right?
more than
like
they
like
do.
Nebraska basketball fans
Mhm.
may not watch, but I would think you'd watch the rest of your conference. But you said you've been saying no, so
Not always. I don't
okay,
think.
okay. So let's say you're right. I've been asking you about Michigan for months.
Mhm.
For months.
Mhm.
I'm like, Robbie, they're 13-2.
Yeah.
Hey, Robbie, they're 20-2. Is this a good basketball? Because you watch them,
Yeah. And I'm always like, I don't know.
and it's like, how are they doing?
Yeah. Every time you ask, what's my answer? I don't know.
But each time, even though we're one day away from March,
Yeah.
you know exactly what I'm talking about now.
Absolutely.
Because you've seen them a couple of times, full stop.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man.
Well, and
I numbers say they're decent.
yeah, sometimes numbers lie a little bit, you know?
Typically not over this long.
No, they don't. But I don't know. I don't know how you can watch that team and say, yeah,
I know.
I'm sure they're good.
I know.
They can be good for sure. I can't say I'm sure they're good.
Yeah, it's like, that was terrible.
And I've told you this before. I think that, like, I consume games differently depending on the situation, right? When there's like a quad box, obviously I'm not as dialed in on any one game as I am.
People in my house think that's like my greatest gift. I'm like,
you do have an ability to kind of like.
I'm like, listen, the lights are on, everybody, the fridge is full. Like, that's my greatest gift. Like, can a dude ever just be like, hey, man,
hey, we provided, we're cool?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't happen. It's what I'm supposed to do.
It's like, hey, you can multitask. Good for you.
Yeah. Like, this what you guys go to? This is nothing. Try having a little person in a truck talk through your ear for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And have you act like it doesn't matter.
So that's the kind of stuff, and I do think it's the same skill set as your ability to dial in on quad box is way better than mine. Like, I'm getting the general, like I'm getting the Wikipedia version of the game, basically.
I think that's why my head hurts constantly.
it could be. But I also couldn't do somebody's talking to me and I'm talking at the same time.
That's tough.
That would drive me crazy.
It's a lot easier now.
It's cool. I mean, I'm sure reps would help, but like, so when I'm watching Michigan against Nebraska, I'm paying attention with a greater level of detail than I am when I'm watching Michigan just randomly. They were really the only game I was watching last night at the time. And so I was, again, pretty dialed in on Michigan. And I'm just sitting there going, I still don't know. We're 29, 25, 28, however many games in the season we are. And I still don't really know, which I think means the answer is no.
It's funny you say that because when I have to be professional, well, I mean, like buttoned up, and I have a thought, and it happens at the same time as I'm doing something else, I have to hold it. But
so you like put it in the queue?
But the place you think it would be it would matter most when I'm talking for 3 or however many hours during a day, I have to be working with somebody that will allow me some freedom to come back to it mid talk.
Sure.
Right? Like I just did it. I just talked about a TV show and then came right back to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And you just got to hit pause for a second.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
We'll come back around to it.
So, and the only person that ever really used to call me on it, was Severe.
Yeah, I could see how that would drive him crazy.
He'd say like, "Where'd that come?" Like, you know what I mean? Like he just. I'm like, man, just ride with it.
Because his brain doesn't work that way.
You'll get used to. Oh, and when he has something to say, he's rolling.
Yeah.
Right. There is no coming back.
I do think there's like part of a TV background there.
Yeah.
TV guys, I feel like are a little more regiment.
100%.
You know, and he's got TV and military, so like that's
100
super schedule. You know what I mean?
And
he's obviously great at what he does, right? But it's a very different style.
Can't tell you how different TV and radio are.
Oh, I've never really done TV, but it's wild. I can just tell.
That's why I have such an. It's certainly not because he's good to me. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's why I have such an affinity for Kugler.
Oh yeah. Because he can do both at a high level,
seamlessly.
Yeah, right? And it's a very different job.
100%.
Play-by-play on radio,
and his verbiage. So I listen. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly trying to pick up things. So if I'm listening to him on a broadcast, I will literally think to myself, is he saying any more or less descriptive words
when he's on radio?
When he's on radio versus TV, and his vocab is about the same.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I think the one thing, I think the biggest difference for Kugler, and I mean he could tell us, I'm much less of a professional at this than he is, but it seems like it's not that he says more on radio, he says less on TV. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
I would agree with that.
He lays out a little bit more. He lets the game sort of speak for itself a little bit more. And
he's also has the ability, low key. I would probably ask him. He's different with different people, but he's the same.
So I was telling somebody this the other day. Like his ability to it was Austin. Because he's got a play-by-play background.
I talked to AJ last night.
Back in Kearney, right? And so
doing his homework, weird. I know you're surprised.
I'm stunned.
I'm like,
that guy stays on it.
I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'm more than what I'm like.
Yeah, you'll engage.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I would be the same way.
Yeah, you respect the hustle, you'll engage.
Yep. And at the end he was like, hey, thanks for the. I'm like, oh man, I appreciate you wanting to be good.
Yeah. But I was talking to him yesterday, and we got on him doing play-by-play for some reason, and Kugler came up, and I go, that's the crazy thing about Kugler is, we were talking about doing play-by-play solo versus with a color commentator.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's the crazy thing about Kugler is he makes everybody he's with better.
Mhm.
And it's different. Like the Robbie Hummel you get with Kugler is different than the Robbie Hummel you get without Kugler.
Yep.
Same thing with
It's
Donnie
funny,
Marshall.
Funny. Hummel's a good one.
Because, yeah.
You know who else is a good one?
Who?
Is Sean Morris.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sean Morris with Kevin
Mhm.
is, ridiculous.
Vastly different.
He should have been the guy. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was because Sean didn't want to move, or I don't know what it was with his career arc for the network,
Mhm.
but they should have used him more.
Mm.
And I don't know if you got to be a guy that, well, I do know because it happened to me in 2012.
Yeah.
I think about it. Shoot, I should have moved.
Got to be willing to pick up and move to Chicago
Well, it would have been,
or Indy.
it'd have been like 10. Like if I knew it was going to be the end anyway, I'd be like,
Deuces.
nah, but I still had to come back and see
Nah,
kids.
I'm
But
just
anyway,
serious.
10,000%. No, so it is.
And that's not a disparaging thing to any of those guys, but
It's
I
not.
think Kugler brings out the best version of everyone.
And I bet you they
They know. They have to know.
they enjoy
right?
it. Like I was gonna say, Bartle's another one.
Yeah. Even like I love Ba, obviously, but I think the best version of Ba is with Kugler.
Yeah, it wasn't the same the other night, was it? Did
No.
you watch him with who's the little guy with the glasses?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Is it Jason?
If you say the last name, I know. But it's like,
But yeah, he's Ba and Kugler are
he doesn't. Oh, he didn't open Nick up as much.
yeah. Like that's one of the biggest skills I think of. I haven't done a lot of color commentary, but I've done a little. And one of the biggest skills is leaving room for your color commentator as a play-by-play guy.
That's one of the things.
And like setting them up well.
No coincidence with today, but it's
Yeah.
one of the things I loved about Sharpie.
Yeah.
The ultimate assist man.
He made it really
Oh.
easy for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Need a pocket pass? I got you.
Yeah.
You want me to lead you? I got you. Back shoulder? No problem.
I'd call him Chris Paul, but I don't have enough of an affinity for Paul to make that
Chris
comparison.
Paul.
Well,
Just go with Magic and keep it safe because he did have an engaging personality.
you told me the pocket pass, and that made me think of Chris Paul because he's very famous for like a little pick and roll pocket pass.
Yeah.
Like that's the first person I think of when you say pocket pass is Chris Paul.
That's unfortunate. We're going to have to change that.
I mean, Magic's one of the best passers of all time. You could probably say the best, and nobody's going to fight you on it.
Mm.
But like that's not the pass I think of. I think of fast break, transition, kind of the flashier. I don't think of that little pick and roll pocket pass. That's all.
I don't know enough about TikTok because I don't engage
Mhm.
and I don't
You just
I don't talk tick or what. I know it's tweeting. What is it when you respond on TikTok? Just comments or what?
I get. Yeah, I have
I
no
don't
idea.
do that
Yeah.
because I don't know. Like, do they log it? Does the user? I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was this deal yesterday or the day before where there was a picture of all these NBA greats, and the guy was basically like, which one of these guys doesn't belong?
Mm.
And it was 90. I think it was 92 because it had something to do with the Olympic team.
Oh, was it Laettner?
And somebody was like, Magic.
Come on.
So, of course, I would go down the comments rabbit hole because I always do. But
Mhm.
people were knocking Magic because at that time
He'd been retired for a year.
and he wasn't all NBA.
Yeah. He
I'm like-
would be still, but he'd been
I'm
retired
like,
for a year.
Are you guys that short-sighted, or am I talking to 28-year-olds?
Honestly, if anything, you're probably talking to. I mean, 28 might be old for the app.
Yeah, but I'm kind of getting out of that because there's guys like. That's why I asked Justin how old he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not. Now there is definitely a thing. Like, let's not act like they didn't earn the stereotype.
Sure.
But there are guys and gals that
That'll do their homework.
debunk
Yeah. And I'm not
the
going to
short-sighted theory.
I'm not going to pretend like Magic and Bird were in my wheelhouse. Like they were slightly before me, but I went back because I like basketball. If anybody like out of the like if it's not going to be Laettner, you can make the argument that it's Bird. And
Yeah.
you know my affinity for Bird, but where he was at in his career and injury wise.
And you and I have, because we share an affinity for Bird, have carved up his career.
Yeah. So by 92, he was a shell of
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
The back was terrible. He was playing like maybe 10 minutes a game.
We've
Like,
gone through this.
If anybody wasn't belonging there that wasn't Laettner, it was Bird.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like prime. And Bird was kind of the old man ambassador at that point. Like Magic was in better shape at that point than Bird was. He hadn't played for a year.
And they didn't even have the good meds yet.
They must have found something.
Which, by the way, what an afterthought.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I don't even think about it anymore.
No one does.
Which is a miracle, a literal miracle.
I mean,
like when he got diagnosed, people thought he was going to be dead in a year.
I'm like, if the money's in the cure, then how are you guys bankrolling?
I don't know, man. I heard a terrible joke.
Money's not in the cure.
I heard a terrible joke the other day.
As did I. But it was something completely different.
Yeah.
And the TikToker said, "No, this is dark humor, and if this is not your thing, keep scrolling."
Yeah, you gotta keep pressing.
Do you think I?
No, you stayed.
I
stayed.
stayed.
You probably watched it a couple times.
I'm like,
and then you went down the comments or the rabbit hole.
Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
I'm by myself.
Yeah.
I'm at home.
Did you laugh?
I laughed, and I like.
You looked around, make sure nobody saw you.
Now, why did I do that? I know no one's here, but it's okay if I laugh.
You just got to double check.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my bad, Lord.
Hey, that was on me. That's totally on me.
Doc Sadler. He's like, no worries, my son.
The great Doc Sadler in the sky.
I don't even know what his voice would be like.
We're going to be all right.
How'd they speak when they were trolling around in Mesopotamia?
Not English. I know that. I don't know that. I'm pretty sure.
That's totally on me.
Stick to sports, bro.
A lot of like Sumerian,
Yeah.
ancient Near Eastern. I don't know. Coming up on the show today, it's a little different than normal. Tim can't join us at 8, so we'll just have our other two regulars, Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports NAB Preps, and Matt Vrzal, our former Husker owner of Pisons, in the 9 o'clock hour. Until then, it's all you, me, and DB. Not you, me, and Dupree.
Yeah, I started I'm going to save this one.
Okay.
But I got a couple of good things that, maybe.
Like shows?
When are we rolling out the whole madness with March Madness kind of? Is that right before the tournament or right after?
I think after we get the field.
I got a couple.
Okay. Like sleeper picks?
No. Like guests.
Oh.
Impromptu.
Gotcha. Okay.
That I know will just pick up the phone. Because Shane, we don't have to notify people. I think our rules change, right?
What do you mean?
Like we don't have to tell people that they're on the air now?
Since we're recording, I think we have to.
Are you sure? Is it the recording thing?
I think so. Yeah.
It's not terrestrial?
I don't believe so.
I got a couple guys. We're just going to have normal conversations. I mean, I'll tell them because they'll know
why you're calling.
And if I'm with you, it's like, this is business.
Yeah.
But we're going to do that, and it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
I guarantee we're going to do it in the month of March. I'm not even going to put it off.
I'm down.
Because we're going to
line them up.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe you have to tell them just because it's recorded.
Well, hopefully they assume.
I believe
Selfish.
Nebraska is a one-party state.
TK, what's your real age again? TK is he mid-20s?
I think so because he's in last year of law school. So
TK kind of he shows me flashes of it.
Yeah.
But then there are other times it's an older generation.
I think
he's a tweener.
Willing to do the work, but there's some things that he just doesn't have the real life.
But he's also a researcher.
Yeah. But there's like
he's gonna go back and get it.
If you ask him about like favorite Nebraska players and stuff like that, it's gonna be 2010s or like 2009.
And I don't mean that. I meant people of a certain age tend to think
that whatever's happening now
a certain way.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I got you.
I don't think he's like that.
I don't either. That's not the vibe I got.
Nah,
there's certainly people that are.
He's been here before. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You hear some opinions and it's like, you're
12.
Or just life philosophies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just how they go about things.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
I can't. How could you go to an office every day?
Well,
I don't know, man. It used to be that way.
It's kind of what you do.
That's a bunch of BS.
Although I will say, I did work from home for 4 years, and it was a little challenging going back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't work at home.
I just got really used to hanging out with my dogs all day.
I couldn't work at home.
And Doug never had we got Doug in December 2020.
Well, I've done Zooms with the television on and muted the Zoom. I can't. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Just squirrel. Here's
What do
like,
you want me to do?
I gotta get my Boomer and Geo in.
Sometimes I would forget and just like go get a drink. It's like
You gotta turn your camera off, make sure they don't see you wandering around.
sometimes when we're zooming with our staff, I will.
Yeah.
But then like the last 2 years, because Coach Samanji's kind of tough, and so I'll just carry my computer with me.
You, yeah.
Like, what are you doing? I'm walking. Don't mind me. Still with you.
You do gotta move a little bit.
I do.
Yeah.
Who asked the question? Like, why was it Lee?
Oh
yeah, it was Lee. It was, and he's inquisitive, and he will challenge. Lee is a lot like Daniel. So don't let Lee.
Okay.
Don't let him.
Because you know Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. He's a real life person.
No, he seems like a good dude. He just like asks questions and stuff.
Yeah. He's very much a. It's not a contrarian, but he will challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Will challenge. Hey, we're not doing the thing where everybody says good morning to Kobe.
Apparently, maybe we missed it.
So I thought it was a thing.
Well, it is a lot of days.
What's up, Kobe? Good morning, Kobe.
I will say,
Hey, Kobe.
Kobe, I don't agree with that at all.
What do you say?
He goes, remote work from home is a scam. Go to work and actually be productive. Some people don't need a babysitter to be productive.
Let me tell you
Can
something.
I just say that?
And I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
And Kobe, be honest, with his delivery,
Yeah.
he's very active, and he has some old man takes like this.
Yeah.
I bet you he's not very old.
I don't think he is either.
But that's a total.
That's
old,
a definite old man take.
But
I would guess he's younger than his takes would tell you.
Because he seems old.
He's got some old man takes, but I think he's like the way I would say he's 32.
I'm going to say 39.
Oh, you think a little older?
Yeah.
Mine was like 28 to 32. I think he's younger than we think.
Yeah, this ought to be good.
But here's the thing. There's a lot of jobs you don't have to do it in an office. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I probably prefer being I don't want to be at home.
Yeah. I like being at home. A lot of my jobs before this.
Do you know why though?
Why?
It's just the opposite. My home is my home. When I'm at home, I'm shutting it. Dang, under both.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Under 28, Kobe?
No, you said 32.
I know, but I said my range was between 28 and 32, and I landed on 32.
I am floored.
Yeah.
He comes across.
He's got some old man takes.
Right.
He got some
like cloud talker.
He's got some like get off my lawn. Like some Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn.
That's incredible. You know who else is like that though?
Who?
Our buddy.
Who?
That's how Happer is.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a total pup.
Happer is he's older than that.
Barely. He's 32, 33.
Yeah.
He acts like he's 60.
He does.
That's like,
although I kind of have like, there's parts of my personality that are an old man personality.
you're principled.
Yeah, I've got like some curmudgeon in me for sure.
That's your just mean spirit.
Just because I'm not very nice. Under 28, my God, Kobe.
Oh my God, I'm floored. I'm floored. So he totally fits the stereotype then of a guy that can like actually partake, do the show, and still be functional.
Yeah,
because he's all in every day.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. So before this life, a lot of my job was like data analysis. I can do that from home. I don't have to talk to anybody.
Man, I don't know.
I did that for like 4 years. Highly productive.
That's what Ryan works from home.
Yeah, and he does a lot of like financial analysis stuff like that. Like,
you gotta be. You
gotta be pretty dialed. But honestly, the experience is. I thought I found myself to be more productive from home because I was happier. I was happier to be at home with my dogs, and they're just sitting by my feet. But I was happier, so I was more productive because I didn't feel the need to like get up and like stretch my legs and wander around and like I don't know. There was like for me, when you have a job that you like but don't love necessarily, sometimes there's a little bit of a tension to like break up the day. I didn't feel necessary to do that when I was at home. I was just like, hey, I'm cool. I'm dialed in. I either got my podcast on or I'm listening to something in the background. Got my dogs around me. I'm cool.
It's funny too, because I mean, some people. I just think of Coach Rule and his wife. Like some people just don't always want you around at home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, but Natasha was working at the restaurant, or she was working at her job. So like I was by myself and I was just chilling.
You guys had opposite hours too, right? She's
for a while.
Yeah.
For a while. And then they kind of overlapped more, but it was like, so I'd be working while she was at work. I mean, there was a while when I was at PayPal that.
When do you consume most of your content?
Now or then?
Now.
Like mid-afternoon into the evening.
Interesting.
You mean like games or like online?
Yeah, like
games. I usually watch them real time, so just in the evenings.
I almost don't do any work in the daytime.
Yeah. So I usually, most of my work in the daytime is like meetings and stuff for the other part of my job. But I'll do, in between those, I'll do like show prep. If there's stuff that I want to carry over from.
It ramps up again about 3, but from like
PM.
12:45 to 2:30 is a total blank slate.
Just shut it down?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I probably started somewhere in the 3s.
Yeah. No, I get it. There's some days where I'm like, hey, I need to take like a 30-minute like cat nap.
Yeah, I ain't sleeping.
I know. You don't sleep at night either, so it's,
Soon.
Soon and very
there
soon.
You go. Knowing you've never heard that song.
No, I do know. No, I know that song. That's one of the ones I know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones. One of what?
One of the songs I know.
Just in general?
Yeah. I mean, I know I haven't been to like AME, but.
You almost got through the first segment without.
Happy Black History Month, everybody. It's the last day. Get your appreciation in. What's March? Do we know? Is March a month?
Yeah, March. I don't know what March is.
Yeah. It's I don't know. We'll see.
March is a good month.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We are here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and reminding you, as always, make sure you're driving safe this morning. Sometimes that sun's kind of creeping up over the horizon as we're getting to work.
And it's going to be one of those mornings.
It is, and we're getting to that time of year. Just be careful. Make sure you're paying attention. Don't follow too close. Make sure you are focused and ready to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Speaking of focused and ready, our guy Ty Robb was locked in. I just saw this stat here from Kent Lee, who did some numbers
analysis,
research on the relative athletic score. And since 1987, in his position group, so that's almost 40 years, Ty Robinson, you want to guess where he ranks out of 1,812 defensive tackles that have tested at the Combine?
9th.
24th. All time.
I said that with conviction, didn't I?
And that you did.
I had no idea.
I think maybe you were just guessing the number.
Yeah. Yeah.
24th out of over 1,800 defensive tackles since 1987.
You know the beautiful thing about it?
In the athletic score.
He picked the perfect year to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very underwhelming yesterday.
Yeah. And I think some people sort of liked some of the D-tackle class coming in, but they didn't test great.
I could see maybe from a good player depth standpoint.
Yeah, depth.
But you don't have
There's not a
high-end guys.
No.
I mean, Graham's going to be a stud.
I like Graham a lot. It's hard not to.
Do you realize? I don't know. I'm not going to say it. Because maybe I wasn't that ahead of the curve.
On who?
Graham. I like Graham when he was a pup.
Mm-hmm.
And they were rotating 7 guys. And I was like, now this is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
But people didn't love his frame. And it's still not.
I could see that.
He was kind of frumpy.
He still kind of is, if we're being honest.
So it was the year they put it on Nebraska.
Yeah.
In Lincoln. So this was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And they were playing I'm telling you, they were playing like 26 D linemen. I'm like, watch those guys in their warm-ups. And he reminded me, and Foreman turned me on to this. And I think
if you say the same guy that I'm thinking, I'm going to lose it. Because mine's a deep cut.
Was he a Nebraska guy?
Yeah. Just body type. Not anything else. When you're talking about a defensive lineman that some people like that's a little too frumpy, this is the
I was gonna say Damian Daniels.
Oh, okay, good. My guy didn't ever really produce, I don't think.
So we were watching. Yeah. So Jay and I were watching Damian Daniels one day, and he's like, "Oh, you see blank, 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 and blank.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy that if he stays dialed could do X, Y, and Z."
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of taught me to look at some things that aren't super obvious unless you are locked in on D-line. Because it's not just about get off. It's not just about hands. It's not just about bend. It's
especially on the interior. There's a lot of other stuff going on.
It's the ability to hand fight or to punch with power and super close proximity. Like, have you ever seen Kill Bill?
Mm-hmm.
When Pai Mei taught her to punch from 2 inches
close
away.
Distance, yeah.
So stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? I don't know why.
I thought Bruce Lee, the 1-inch punch.
I don't know why. I just thought of Pai Mei. If I had said the old guy with the twisty gray beard, would you have known his name was Pai Mei?
No.
Yeah, his name was Pai.
0%.
Anyway.
So the guy I thought
it's a good pull
when you're just talking about like D tackles,
big Kill Bill guy.
D tackles, frumpy body type, but people still kind of liked him. The first guy I thought of was Jay Guy.
Oh, wow. That is a super deep cut. Jay Guy was like who was the little fast guy that everybody liked that was a quarterback? He had a little shorty while he was at school in Lincoln. Oh, Jamal Turner.
Oh.
Jay Guy was
had
some Jamal Turner to him where every year we kept waiting for him to kind of
pop off.
Be the guy.
Yeah.
No whatever.
Yeah, no pun.
Intended. I remember that.
Jamal Turner was my dude too. Like,
and Nebraska went through a stretch of recruiting D linemen like that.
Yeah, was the squatty bodies.
Yeah.
Like, that's when that sort of term came into the Nebraska lexicon because they wanted these squatty bodies. That's why they didn't recruit Harrison Phillips as hard as they probably should have. That was the reason they gave, at least. It's like, I didn't really fit the body type what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Even
though he kind of did. I
was like, hey, maybe
and I remember these conversations with
that was the talking
Coach
point.
P was he just didn't think he was going to be he could two gap.
Yeah.
He's like the consummate two gapper now.
Yeah.
But he's a mammoth individual.
Yeah, he's huge. So I was at Lifetime a couple years ago, and it was like over Christmas or something, so he must have been home from I think it was right before he signed with Minnesota.
Yeah, because he was here for a little bit of time.
Yeah. And so
a little longer than normal, because I think that might have been he was either engaged or just had gotten married. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so I ran into him twice, like once at Lifetime and once at like a restaurant or somewhere.
Bougie Lifetime guy.
In about
I'd be more a Planet Fitness guy.
But so I'm like, hey, man, that guy's enormous. Like, I see kind of like his frame from across the floor. I go, man, that guy's enormous. Mm-hmm. And I kind of I'm curious, right? Because, just like, so I kind of wander over to where he's at, and I'm like, oh, that's Harrison Phillips.
Yeah.
And I think he was wearing Bills gear at the time. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely Harrison. Or no, he might have been wearing Stanford gear. I don't know. He was wearing some team identifier. That's like, oh, that's definitely him.
I saw one of his guys that won the Buckets.
But he's enormous, especially up close.
That was from Stanford that was singing Harrison's praises.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a good dude. But and I look at this D-line group, and
You're not enamored?
People are playing different now.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see like two eyes, and not to get all techie, but like D-line play has changed tremendously from like days, not even that far long ago, like Vince Wilfork. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
If people 3 years ago were asking if Davis could be an every down D lineman from Georgia, like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, sure he can.
Yeah.
But like, it's just changed where you have to be able to get vertical and stop the run, right? It's almost like if you're a run stopper,
only a run stopper.
Yeah, it's like
you don't have a job.
Oh yeah, you're just a first down guy.
Come on, what are we doing?
So I'm just my point is that the evolution of the D line guys has changed. So I think when people were first tweeting when he measured in, because there were all these graphics yesterday morning. I follow all these nerds. I'm like, dang, he's down to 288.
That's what I thought.
It might have been you and I talking about it off air.
Maybe, because it was light.
And I was like,
because he played at like 310, didn't he?
He was. Yeah, I'm not gonna split. Do you want to split hairs?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, I want to be accurate. I'm just.
He was probably 304, 305.
Okay. But he was north of 300, so you're talking 17 pounds.
Yeah.
That's significant.
It is significant.
But I also forget how freaking tall he is. He's 6'6". Like, that's a monster dude. I don't know what did he measure in at a full 6'6"?
Yeah.
Like, that's a monster dude.
You saw him.
Yeah.
He sat. That poor chair didn't stand a chance because they were folding chairs.
Yeah, they were like, I felt a little like us. This might not be big enough for me.
My man was one cheeking a folding chair.
And then
I was like,
do we need to get you another one? Like, I sat down on it. I was like, a little dicey. Big ass Ty Robinson sits next to me.
About his sport coat.
Yeah.
It'd have been a bathrobe on your boy.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, I had to go get this thing custom made. I was like, yeah, that checks out.
Had to be a 50.
Oh, more than that. Definitely more than. I'm full disclosure. Before I lost the 30 pounds, I was a 50.
Yeah.
I'm a 48 now still. He's probably in like the mid 50s.
Dude.
He's probably like 54, 56. Like, that dude is wearing a circus tent as the sport coat.
He just so the 1710 is
way more important than the 483.
Well, as a 218 pounder.
88. No, you.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a 151.
Yeah.
Pre-testing fat DB, like as a redshirt freshman, kind of a sophomore, I remember I was like a 1.6.
Yeah.
And almost got laughed out of the running back room.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not that bad.
That's pretty good.
See how fast I was from 10 to the 40? That's a true story, by the way.
Do you remember your best 40 time?
Yeah.
What was it?
4.51.
Okay, that's good.
It was hard. So, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
How many, if at all,
Yeah.
if at all, how many times do you think I saw LP go sub 4.50? Not 4.54, not 4.52, because back in those days, you had two great big digital displays that when you were done, and it was so crucial, there was no cheating the system. You had Brian Bailey on one side, you had Mike Arthur on the other, you had Boyd kind of overlooking it, doing the electronics. I mean, this thing was so dicey, it was almost impossible to be fast.
And they're doing digital, not handheld.
No, yeah.
Okay.
It was AccuTrack. It was like they were the
So
first
that must have been
laser.
early. I said that must have been early on the laser.
Listen, how many times do you think I saw that dude go sub 4.50?
0.
Twice in the same day in the same 2 times. Do you know when? He did it back-to-back times.
No, when?
Pro day.
Mm.
He went his whole career at Nebraska.
Never went a sub 4.5.
Never breaking 4.50, which was almost hard to. I can only think of a handful of guys that went sub 4.5. Jay Sims.
Oh, yeah.
Leslie Dennis.
Because Jay Sims was kind of freaky.
Ridiculously freaky.
Yeah.
Like
one of those guys that you
not overly coordinated.
Yeah.
You know, like to put it all together.
But like had the physical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
38.5.
Yeah.
You know, he'd 10.8 standing broad jump. Yeah, he'd go sub 4. And Leslie Dennis, Tyrone Williams.
Tyrone doesn't surprise me.
Well, he's like 4.47 was like blistering.
Yeah.
Like guys weren't going ridiculous. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
They weren't doing like what they do now.
4.32s.
And maybe Amon. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, he did go. Now, I did watch him in his pro day because he's like 2 guys before me.
Yeah.
When the whole auditorium just whistled.
I was like, what are you going his pro day?
Low 4.4s. I think 4.41.
Yeah.
4.42, which
pretty fast.
Laughable. The one thing I remember about that is it took him like 5 minutes to get in his start, and I was like, knock it off.
Really?
Get in your stance.
Just go.
Get in your stance.
Some of us are trying to run out
like
here.
Shake his back leg. And he'd like shake his thumbs. He'd like shake his hand. But he's a track guy.
Yeah.
So that stuff is.
I was gonna say, sounds like
it's critical.
Sounds like Usain Bolt.
And you could tell he had been. He was so mechanical and precise.
He'd been like coached to.
Oh yeah, it's just pretty. It was like, cool. I mean, guys are running like 1.4.10s, and I think at that he had to be close. He was 2 teens.
I would say he had to be pretty.
He's big,
good size at that point
and
too.
So for guys like LP, it's just the short area burst. But his long speed was never
not crazy.
But he never got caught. There were even runs where you'd see AG get caught from behind. You never saw LP get.
So caught. You know what's funny is I think most people. I don't think they'd think he was faster than Amon. I think a lot of people would think he was faster than that though.
Yeah.
Than a 4.49 or a 4.5 basically.
He ran. I think it was 4.48 and 4.47. And it's like, wow, this dude cracked. And this is after being 229 at the bowl game.
Yeah. Because what he normally play at 210?
He should have been about a 12er.
Okay.
10-12er.
Yeah. And I think people think he was bigger than that too.
Yeah.
It was the shoulder pads.
He had thin legs. He's another high cut guy, high booty.
He had those, but he wore those big shoulder pads. He looked huge.
Yeah. He had big cheeks too.
Yeah.
Little legs. But itty bitty waist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My man was like a 32-38.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild.
Long inseams.
Because what was he, 6'2"?
6'1"?
Yeah.
Hard to be fast. That 1.7 at 288
is crazy.
I don't know if you understand though.
I mean, I just know from like comparison, like with other guys.
That's a big, strong. And remember, we kind of questioned his like lateral quickness.
Yeah.
And he was more like a team drill guy.
Yeah. No.
He's like,
he tested pretty good.
See you on what day?
Day
now?
2?
For sure.
Day 2 now?
For sure.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up.
be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Maybe you want to watch a little combine. We're going to have it on here. They've got a great TV setup, and they've got great daily specials. And
Don't be stealing my plug about the TV setup.
well, you made a good point.
Oh, thanks.
I'm just trying, giving you credit here.
No, that's not true.
It's a good TV setup. And I think it's the last day for you to try and get that chicken fried chicken too. I think it was a February special.
Is anybody getting the kiss martini?
I don't know.
I don't believe in diluting good alcohol, but you do you.
Hey, some people like mixed drinks, DB.
As Wu-Tang would say, bring the ruckus.
Bring the ruckus. So which number
That was definitely forced, by the way. That cut up that on that play-by-play.
Which number did you like?
I liked it
the best from Ty Robinson yesterday. Like, which one would you most? Was it the 10?
I liked his D-line directional drill.
Okay.
And I liked him on the hoops.
Yeah.
That's a brutal drill. That's one of our conditioning stations.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of our guys don't get it unless they actually rush the passer. So our outsides will go, and that's usually my station. So I'll take D-line and the outside guys. And some guys, I got one guy, he's a Noonan. So it'd be Danny's nephew, David's son. And he's just a sophomore, and he's going to be
pretty
fantastic, yeah. And I use him as a demo guy because he has really good get off. You can tell he's the son of a D lineman. He's explosive, but he was playing behind some good players. He's just a pup. But I watch him on the cones or on the hula hoops. Matter of fact, we just ordered bigger ones for this offseason. And when guys actually pit that drill to D-line or offensive lineman leaning on you or feeling for a double or turning the corner, and it gets real practical. Because I think sometimes when you watch that drill, figure eight with hoops, you think,
not really sure what.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
But I always tell people, just try to run full speed, and I'll just bounce you a tennis ball. I'll be about 10 feet in front of you, run full speed at me. I'll lightly bounce a tennis ball off the ground. Bend over at the same time, scoop it up full speed. Just do that. Not even worrying about ankle flexion or real bend going in a circle. And 98% of people can't do it.
Really?
Yeah. Basically a full speed crouch. That's what these guys are doing. And they're turning the corner. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever done anything like that. That's sort of what I don't
Because anytime something's on the ground and you're jogging, you immediately
You
slow down.
You slow down or stop
to pick it up.
Yeah. The only thing I can sort of relate it to is, I've been taking like tennis lessons and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
somebody hits a drop shot.
Yeah, so you're going full speed.
Full speed.
And then you have to bend down, get below the ball, and flick it back up. That's the only, and it's so freaking hard.
Yeah.
Like, it is so hard not to just like pop that thing up.
And it's just a lot of weight to be bent.
Especially when you're that size
At an angle. It's a tough drill. It's one of my favorite drills to watch.
Yeah.
Because I thought the linebackers really struggled yesterday. I mean, and I get it. I'm not counting like Pierce or Shamar Stewart, who I think made a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I didn't like how people kept throwing out the word freak. There were some freak-ish things.
Sure.
But I think freak is one of those things, and I get mad at baseball mostly because people will say, "Oh man, he's got electric stuff." And I'm like, "Is it? Is it?
Yeah,
it's good. It's really good."
Just because he throws hard doesn't mean it's electric
do we
stuff.
Mean freakish?
Yeah.
So there was like some freakish test results
because he came in lighter than
he was 261,
and if you look at pre-draft stuff, 285, 290 is where most people had him. So, like, listen, don't get me wrong. 4.59 is a really good number. But at 267, like, we've seen that before. Yeah. I mean, what was
I see, and I'm not poo-pooing it, right?
He made himself some money.
But I didn't think that was freaky.
Especially because
I do think his standing broad jump was pretty freaky.
Yes, but he
went 10, what did he go?
10-4.
See, that's me.
Yeah.
That's my exact broad jump.
It's also,
again, as a 219-pounder.
But it's also only 5 inches further than Ty Robinson at 21 pounds heavier. Like, if we're being on, like, if you want to talk about freaky, like, let's have that conversation, right? Like,
you know Bryson's dad, Jamel, right?
I think so.
So Jamel is probably 6'3" and some change. Maybe 6. Yeah, he's probably 6'3". Long.
I apologize. Shamar went 10-11.
Yeah.
Shamar went 10-11. I was looking at the D-tackles.
That's freaky.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That is.
10-11 is freaky at 267.
Jamel is 11 feet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Breaking 11 feet is wild.
He didn't break it.
No, but I mean, like,
yeah,
hitting 11 feet is wild.
Because that's like the 4-5 thing.
Yeah.
Amongst the running backs or DBs, because we were always together, and it was always about times when you say, "Oh, what'd you run?" You know, if because you'd run it in waves, like not sometimes everybody would be in there at the same time.
Yeah.
Don't just say 4.5. No, 4.5 what?
Yeah. There's a 4.59, 4.51.
Yeah. You 4.58 guys, man. You're slow.
You 4.51
4.50 guys.
Okay.
Man, it's fast. Right.
Can I just give some context here? So for Shamar Stewart, who has essentially no production.
Yeah, I mean, the tape will definitely lie.
Essentially no production.
Yeah.
He's at 267 pounds, which is a lot lighter, almost 20 pounds lighter than he played at or what we thought he was going to come in at, right? Just as a comparison, and I know this is like an all-time freaky combine guy, but just as a comparison, if we're going to throw the word freak out, I'm going to go to extremes. What do you think Vernon Davis weighed in at?
Now, arguably one of the nuttier combine participants.
Yes.
He was yoked. He was another one of those Adonis guys with the itty-bitty waist. I'm going to guess he probably wouldn't appreciate this because I'll say VD. I would guess VD weighed in at 45.
54.
Okay.
254. What do you think he ran in the 40?
He's a 4.4 guy.
4.4 flat.
Yeah.
Official 4.4 flat.
Yeah.
At only 13 pounds less, he ran almost 0.2 faster.
Yep.
Like, so, like, if we're going to throw out freaky.
That's freaky.
Yes, it is.
That's freaky.
And his broad jump, now, you're right, the broad jump is freaky because Vernon's was only 10.8. I say only. Only 10.8, right?
I'm telling you, that was incredible.
10-11 is bonkers.
It's incredible.
10-11 is nasty work. I will say, like the 40-inch vertical, also crazy work.
What did he jump?
40. Vernon did 42.
Again.
Freak.
You want a comparison?
Yeah.
35.5.
Yeah, which is a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good number.
I didn't look at his vertical.
Yeah.
Once I kind of walked away, I chuckled.
So I like
It was the short. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Almost when he jumped 10, 11.
Yeah.
I was like, huh. He's going to get into an offensive lineman in a hurry if he can use his hands. But then I'm getting into how much power do you have
in that short distance.
In those short distances.
How much pay way you got?
You know, because every
what?
My.
Oh, my bad.
When people always talk about when they watch line play, getting your arms extended.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be good when you're in here.
Yeah, so like getting your arms extended
it's ideal.
Yes, and you're not playing
best case scenario.
You're not playing ideals.
You're not going to always get that.
Not always. Most of the time you're not. Most of the time you're not playing in ideals.
I put our OLBs, I call it in phase,
Yeah.
right? They're locked up in a bad position. That means either a number 2 receiver has them locked up, a tight end's into them, or a tackle's into them. So they're leaning at a 45 and their arms are in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, punch. So get vertical with your hands and disengage. They hate the drill, but I'm putting you in worst case.
Yeah. Everybody's strong
everybody
here.
wants to get here.
Everybody is strong here.
Sometimes you do get caught in here.
Everybody.
Especially if I'm on the edge and I'm like an apex, if I'm a defender and I'm in space, sometimes those number 2s, you don't always see them coming.
That's part of the reason I like wrestlers, because they can figure out.
It's one of the things that I go bonkers about with Ziola.
Yeah, like they can figure out. Like, that's why I like wrestlers as football players, right? Because they can figure out how to be strong in here.
Yeah. Like, and I tell people, most people use what he does as an offensive move as kind of a feeling out phase because they aren't near as strong with levers that long.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that's really hard to appreciate what Cade does. But in football, and I watch those guys in those drills, I'm like, yeah, but can he play with, like, what kind of snap or punch does he have without full extension?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, you always want to be full extension.
Everybody is strong here.
But
everybody.
It's like,
it's
just not ideal. You seen those tackles and stuff in pass rush where the guys just get into them? Those are the guys I'm looking for.
Yeah. Like, those are, I mean, there's a reason why, like, when I used to power lift, you would do these lockout drills, right, for bench press, and you start about halfway up. You know how much more I could do starting halfway up versus off my chest?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Like, there's a huge difference there. And I'm not even talking about full extension. Like, going from here to here,
I just don't know if
is easy.
If I'm just watching these guys outside of Graham, maybe a handful more. I like old boy from Ole Miss.
Nolan.
Yeah. But Ty he made quite a bit of money yesterday.
I think so.
A couple $100,000?
I think he got himself probably into the second round.
A couple $100,000?
Because he's productive. Like, the tape is gonna
some of his tape will be amazing.
Will back up what you saw yesterday.
I just remember this guy against Oklahoma in Norman getting trapped. And I'm like, how? You're too good for this.
Yeah.
And then about 6 plays later, he'd have a tackle for a loss. I'm like, oh, that's just youth.
I think you'll also
But his body type was way different.
Yeah. I think you'll also see, if you're watching from year to year to year, you'll see the improvement, which people will like, especially since he's older.
How about when Coach, did you hear McAfee?
Yeah.
When he was describing T-Rob? Did you thought it was over-infusive in praise?
No.
It kind of seemed that way, and elite level athleticism, great athlete. I'm like, I wonder if they'll see that.
We did.
They saw it.
24 out of 1,800.
Because we didn't think that watching it.
No, we really real time. I don't know that any of us thought, as we watched Ty Robinson's career, oh, great athlete.
Yeah.
Like pretty good athlete, probably good football player. I don't know any of us thought great athlete.
I could just go back to that conversation I watched him have sitting in front of.
Oh yeah.
The stadium. When I mean, this was
early,
a month into his hire.
Yeah.
Imagine how important that conversation was.
Turned out to be pretty
whatever
good.
It was.
Turned out to be pretty
good. It was
good.
a long one.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. And I got to tell you about For the Greater Good. For the Greater Good is UNMC's and Nebraska Medicine's 24-hour giving day, during which alumni, students, faculty, staff, and grateful patients in the community at large come together to raise money for scholarships, programs, research, student groups, patient care, and other critical resources, all for the greater good. It's greatergoodgivingday.org. March 26th, starting at noon through March 27th, ending at noon. They're trying to get 2,100 gifts this year to try and help out all of those different areas. And I got to tell you, you know, the research especially hits especially close to my heart. I got to be honest, DB, yesterday was a rough one for your boy with the beaties. It was not a good day.
You got off to a bad start, though. I was curious.
Yeah, it was a rough day. It was a rough day. It was a rough night. And so things like this hit me particularly close to home. Make sure you get out to greatergoodgivingday.org to find out more. There's going to be some matches. There's even some prizes and gifts when you donate over $75. greatergoodgivingday.org is where you find out all the information you need.
Yeah, and with research dollars being at a critical juncture, at least for the next
little while,
month or two, until they sort it out, going to be important.
Yeah, it's
important.
I try not to get super political here, and I don't think research dollars for medicine and research is political. But if you care about anything, go ahead and call a representative and tell them to start funding research again, because that's important.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's
how I used to feel about education about 25 years ago.
I still feel that way about education. I don't even like kids.
Hey, so did you see the Coach Pillen? Governor Pillen's got an interesting one too, because I think Nebraska asked for a 3% budget increase, and I think Governor Pillen is proposing like a 2 point is less than 2.1% decrease.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to make that up. Although I do think, and sometimes we confuse this when we talk about NIL dollars and revenue, and we have to understand the athletic department, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on, is vastly different than
they're sort of an autonomous organization.
The university.
Yeah. So it's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
But no, so we were talking about Coach Rule being on McAfee yesterday as part of kind of the combine deal. And, you know, I thought it was kind of an interesting interview. Like it's funny because a lot of the national stuff is stuff we've heard already with Rule. He's sort of hitting like his greatest hits that he hits with us a lot. But I don't know, the vibe felt a little different. I don't know if I don't know if you picked up on that.
I think I could share this. So I told him there were some other things said before that, but at the end of the day, it was where is it? God, he got buried already. As I'm umming and buying myself time, and I hate ums.
Well, and
I know. Hey, one more time, Coach. He basically it was like, hey, just some jokes and stuff, and I said you hit all the notes while simply just telling a couple of funny stories, huh?
Yeah.
Then there were some things in between that, and I go, Dylan work ethic, NIL spending, conference strength, writing for the brand, even got a couple volleyball shout-outs, and I'm like, must have been the style of dress because you seemed awful comfortable.
That was the greatest hits,
right? Like it just.
He looked very relaxed, that's kind of the
hit him all, but that's his arena.
Well, and that's the style of like McAfee wants you to be pretty loose and relaxed.
That right there.
That's where he's really good.
Is in his arena.
Yeah.
He's got ball. He's got eval. He's familiar with Indy. He gets to be around his guys.
I also think he kind of likes McAfee.
Yeah.
Like I think I know for whatever you feel about McAfee, right?
So I can't speak to yay or nay.
Right.
I just know he's very, very cognizant of utilizing resources.
Reach. Right?
So I don't know if he likes anyone more than I don't know if he loves Will Compton.
Sure.
He might. I don't know.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is if Will is good for the brand,
he's good for Will.
He's gonna be good for Will.
So
if McAfee is good for the brand, If Thamel's good for the brand, so you know what I mean, because he does a really good job of personal and business.
So here's the only reason I said that is McAfee, for whatever else he brings to the table, comes off as a guy that genuinely loves ball.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Rule will vibe with that.
Yeah.
That's a dude. There's a lot else going on, but I've never looked at Pat McAfee and be like, that dude doesn't love football. Like that dude loves football.
And I like the subtleties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a guy that used to want to be a profiler, I'm always paying attention to two things.
Yeah.
Body language and the nonverbals.
Yeah.
Which is body language, but it can be different too. It doesn't always have to be.
I feel like nonverbals are sometimes, well, I don't know which is which, but I think one of them is more involuntary than the other.
Correct.
And I don't know which is which.
Correct. So I'm looking at the sitting in the seat with his hands are back.
Pretty laid back.
And his hands are folded.
Kind of reclined.
He's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
He's got on no-shows with kind of the ankle game going with the sweet Adidas. And I'm like, he's right now, he's coming across as a guy that you would want in your living room.
Yeah.
He's coming across as a guy that you'd want to just go chop it up with. He seemed like a cool, hip dude. And then you listen to the message.
Yeah.
And he's just, because he's horrible. Horrible. You make fun of me. He's 10 times worse. This dude cannot take a compliment.
Oh, yeah.
Just can't. He'll just ignore it. And so, I just tell him, it's like, and I joke with him. I'm like, hey, man, men don't get their flowers when they're alive normally.
Like, take them.
Right? Take them when you can get them.
Nah.
And that's what he's going to say. But anyway. But then you listen to him talk, and it's like, oh shoot, is he an everyday guy? He looks like an everyday guy. He looks like he'd be a cool guy, but then he's just hitting all the notes.
So you know what's funny?
He pimped DBK in volleyball,
while
talking about flying private. Don't overlook that. And he can do. Oh, no, DBK's got the plane today. Oh, you got it like that, Matty? Oh, wait, you don't have it like that. Well, I'm glad it's cool for the department. You guys just want to go private, man, go do your thing.
Yeah.
Right? But he's just telling a story.
I'm sure if he really wanted a private plane, he could have procured one.
That's the thing.
Yeah. He's like, I'm an everyday guy, but we still got it like that at Nebraska.
But
right?
he deferred and was talking about DBK and volleyball.
Yeah.
He pumped volleyball like 2 or 3 times.
I'm just saying, I'm sure if he wanted one, a booster would have came through with a plane.
Oh, they got one.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
They got another one.
I'm sure.
And then he's talking about it's 2 hours this way or it's 2 hours that way. And McAfee's like, 2 hours? Well, it depends, man. The Concord. Really?
So what's funny?
In the same vein, those are the kinds of things that I think are endearing. That I think that's why people gravitate.
They're endearing, but I also think they're intentional because,
Come on, man.
especially like the plane. It's funny you bring up the plane thing, right? Because that did kind of like ping for me. Because I think a lot of people, especially kids, if you've never been in Nebraska, right? What's the reason they always want to get somebody on campus, right? To show them that it's not what you think Nebraska is. Yeah. Like if you have a preconceived notion about what the state of Nebraska is, you're coming from California or Pennsylvania or Florida, your preconceived notion about what Nebraska is probably is not correct, right? And so I think sometimes he has to let them know it's like, no, we've got it like everybody else. We've got the private planes, we've got the facilities, we got all the bells and whistles, right? I think sometimes he has to just sneak it in there, but his ability to remain endearing and not seem like a Dean Blandino while he's doing it, because it's really easy when you're talking about private planes to be like, oh yeah, we got the PJ today and we're doing like you can come off like a huge.
Did he seem like the same person? Did he seem like the? And I'd love to hear from our listeners 888-638-4876. If you saw him on the triple option with Urban, did he seem like the same person?
I think there's a little code switching there, a little bit.
I think that's him.
What do you mean?
I think he's the same person. He just knows the audience.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
so, but he's not being somebody he's not.
Right. It's not being disingenuous, but like you're emphasizing different parts of who you are.
It's just he that's the kind of range that I'm talking about within the same information delivery.
Like I'm a different person, not a different person, but I act differently with my wife than I do with my friends. Neither one of them is disingenuous. It's just a little bit different, right? Like there's different audiences and there's different parts of my personality that come out more with different audiences, right? I think it's basically the same thing.
I don't know what I did in Fairfield.
Yeah.
I don't. But like 2 of the people, and one of the ladies was a huge fan, and her husband went to Hastings, and he was super cool too. And she's like, at the very end, and I probably said the least. Probably said the least. And she goes, oh my gosh. She's like, Damon, I told my husband, you're the exact same as on the show. And in my head, I'm like, oh, shoot. Is that good? Because I've talked about poopy hand before.
Hey, smell my finger.
No, don't put that on me. Mm-mm. See, I see what
And you're like, hey, smell my finger.
Yeah, clearly that's not my voice. That's not my voice. Don't. Where's Dirk when I need him? Don't put that crap on me, literally.
Don't put that crap on me.
Yeah, I didn't say that. But I just think like there's something to the authentic, there's like the consistency.
Well, and that's I think what people like about Rule, right? The person that you see on McAfee, the person that you see with Josh Pate, the person that you see with Urban, whoever, when he comes into your living room, you feel like that's the same guy.
When's the last time you remember somebody at the leadership position at the university not wanting to play it safe financially?
Man.
I have one, but it's kind of a trick question.
So, I mean, if you're talking ADs, probably none of them.
So, interesting.
I mean, maybe Moose.
I was more talking coaches.
Okay.
But if I was going to talk about an AD, I would have used Bill Byrne.
Okay. So that's a while ago.
I would not necessarily have used Moose because there's a difference between.
Not afraid to spend money in frivolous?
Frivolous is the word I was going to use, which is. And I'm not implying Moose was frivolous. I'm saying you got to know, you have to be forward think. If you're going to, you don't want to pay current bills with future money. Yeah. Right? That's
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I also think like he was a little premature on some things.
So I would say burn. But now you're seeing with Coach Rule, and it's one of the reasons why we're kind of figuring out how to digest the information.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, listen, you've told us all along we should be playing with the big boys. You've inferred all along these past 15 years we should be doing this. Mm-hmm. I've read articles where you said, hey, we should just hire the best coaches available. Mm-hmm. Hey, I've heard that we need a better stadium experience. Mm-hmm. Remember when Wi-Fi was a thing, mm-hmm. and all these ancillary things?
This is what it costs.
This is playing the game.
Yeah.
Let's literally put our money where our mouths are.
If you want us to play the big boy game, then we got to spend the big boy dollars.
We got to do big boy things.
And I think that has been a point of frustration with Nebraska fans for a long time.
But now we're getting it, and are we willing?
We don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah, well,
I think it's a new world for us, right?
And it's recent.
So who would you were going to go coaches? Who were you talking about for coaches?
I was going to go 8. I was going to use Bill Byrne. I was going to say, well, it's kind of a trick question because I asked the question as I was talking about coaches, but I can think of one person.
Sure.
And it was Bill Byrne.
That's fair.
I don't know about coaches.
I don't think any really have.
Well, I'll go back to College World Series baseball days.
Okay.
And the early 2000s. Baseball had a guy that I think was very forward-thinking.
Van Horn?
About the fiscal.
Fair. I was thinking more football.
About the fiscal wherewithal
That's fair.
Of a sports team.
Yeah.
Van Horn was very much.
I understand that's where he's from, his alma mater and stuff. I also think there's a reason he's coaching the SEC now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It fits.
Like, if you kind of want that level and type of baseball program, like SEC is where to go.
The other thing I kind of like about Coach Rule, and sometimes it's slick and sometimes it's not. Mm-hmm. You know if there's something he just wants out there.
Yeah, wants to say.
Because sometimes it's not even what the question was.
That's one of my favorite things is when he just doesn't answer the question and talks about what he wants to talk about. He'll be like, "Oh, Pat, I'm glad you asked me that," and then not answer the question at all. It's incredible. The first time I noticed it was his first year in Indy, so not the year we were there. When the lady asked the really strange question about the prayer in Wisconsin or whatever.
Yeah, I actually was there.
And then I wasn't there with you. But and then he weaved that into what he wanted to talk about, and he didn't answer the question because I don't know how he possibly could have.
How about how he didn't blink?
Yeah.
That was okay. That's a good call.
It was hard.
That's a great call. He seamlessly wove that in
about how he wants his players to believe in something more, and he doesn't really care what it is. But and it's like he wasn't even there for the thing she was asking about.
How about how he prefaced it by saying that it answered the question anyway?
He says, he goes, I got to give all credit to Scott Frost and the staff for that. Like, they did a great job. That was before I was here, but I really appreciate that. And one of the things that we also like to do, blah, 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 is, get into the believe in something greater. So, like, he'll talk about what he wants to talk about.
Yeah,
sure. And the other thing is that I noticed yesterday, a lot, but I thought it was particularly noticeable yesterday, was, like, there's certain times where, like, the preacher's son comes out a lot, where it's, like, the storytelling and hitting all the points at the same time. Yeah. Like, that's a very preachery thing to do. Be like, hey, I'm just telling you a story. But it's like, oh, by the way.
And his dad is still doing Bible studies for the coaches.
Yeah. It's like, so he's hitting all the talking points. But it's he's just telling you a story. And you're like, wait, did you just, like, inception me? What just happened? Why do I know all this stuff? Why do I feel like I'm
sat through that?
Yeah. It's like, why do you think I'm just like.
I'm talking about Inception.
Oh, yeah.
You get on me about bad movies.
That's not a bad movie. Come on.
I was so disappointed.
I don't think it's as good as other people do. Like, if you're talking about, like, all-time Christopher Nolan movies, like, I'm not having that discussion with Inception. But I thought it was a good movie.
This is what all the fuzz. Maybe that's why I like some bad movies. Low expectations.
I try
to live my life.
I just watched that movie the other day.
Low expectations, baby. I can meet those.
There's a Gin Blossom song. If you don't expect too much of me, I might not let you down. Something like that.
You hear Blossoms, you think Gin Blossoms. I hear Blossoms, I think Kettle One.
I just assumed you were only going to take the gin out of that equation. That's TB. I'm Ravi Lulla.
Anti-gin.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. 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 to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, and we are reminding you, you still got time. Make sure you get out and see the Omaha Supernovas. They were here last night. They'll be back on Sunday. Make sure you get out. That's March 2nd. I don't know what you're doing on March 2nd, but 3 p.m. CHI Health Center. It will be right here at home. Make sure you get to supernovas.com to get tickets to their next match, your Omaha Supernovas.
If you were me, what would you be doing on March 2nd?
I'm imagining there'll be tequila involved.
No, I'll be at my mom's. And unfortunately, the only thing over there, there's wine.
I bet she has wine.
And whatever my sister leaves when she gets in her moods to have drinks.
Yeah.
Which is very selective. My sister's seasonal. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's this. So there's like a little hodgepodge of stuff that just gets left over there.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That my mom will never drink.
Never touch.
And none of it is clear. It will be up there forever.
For till the end of time. Just
Are you kidding me?
You know, it's stuff like, she's gone through like Long Island phases, old fashioned phases. Like everything over there is brown.
Yeah.
It's like,
wow.
I'm
DB out on brown stuff.
It's
weird.
Like, wow, what a waste. What a waste. This is going to sit up here.
Man, it's still February. Come on.
Hold on for one more.
You got to be nice to the brown stuff for one more day.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing for dinner, though.
Back in the day. What's like if you, like, what would be your
I'm going to
go-to?
be at my mom's, and I don't like cooking over there.
What would be your go-to? Like if it was just,
If it was just me?
Yeah.
Like no kids?
If it was like, hey, this is what I would want for a nice meal for this day.
Either lamb chops or scallops.
I'm vibing.
Lamb chops or scallops.
Lamb chops are low-key, like, really good.
They're amazing.
They get slept on a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I would take one for the team and do like, I don't know.
Everybody knows how I feel about scallops, but
Caleb had nerve enough to ask if we could eat early. Like, do you mind if we eat around 4?
he trying to get back.
Yeah. I'm fortunate to get him.
How long is he going to be back this weekend? About 12 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's fine. I don't know.
Well, he's got to keep pressing.
I don't chill. Oh, he's living his best life.
He's got to crack that 22. Let's go.
It has still held.
Yeah.
They love it too because it gives them something to shoot for. Barney has entered the fray.
Shocking.
But you have to practice hard. So it's not just like.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But from everything we know.
Because it's measured with the catapult.
Yeah.
So it's movement throughout the course of drills.
Yeah.
It's not just.
Yeah, it's just racing.
Yeah, like line up and run.
Yeah.
Which is more accurate in my opinion.
Yeah, because it's football speed.
Yep.
That's what you were talking about with Lawrence never got caught from behind, and Amon did every once in a while.
Yeah.
That means Amon wasn't fast, but
as we know.
But
Mercs.
I literally remember, I remember where I was on the Colorado play, where he takes it to the house on the first play.
But even that, were you thinking like, ooh, that guy is?
No, I honestly thought he was. I kept thinking he was going to get caught, and he just kept running by everybody.
He is what I call a glider.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's running that hard.
He is a very effortless,
easy
long strider.
Easy speed,
and he's so well trained. He would know. Like I'd watch him warm up, and when he would get ready to test, like he's eating up. There's amount. It's like hurdlers, right? You know how many steps you want in between each.
Yeah,
hurdle.
you know how many yards you want per step.
Yep, he knows how many. He knows how many yards he wants.
Like because there's a breaking point of, hey, I'm not hitting the ground often enough to create more force.
I need
versus
12 steps.
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
It's like a 12-step 40
to cover 40.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, because there is a sweet spot versus, hey, I'm hitting the ground too often, it's creating too much drag, versus I'm not hitting the ground often enough to create force.
We were finished lifting yesterday, and track came in after. So I saw Keenan and Mike and some of those guys after because they lift after. I told Keenan, I just was looking at his frame. You know, he had doing some dead rows and or some rows and deadlift and some other things. I go, man, he goes, what are you looking at? I'm looking at you. He's a great kid. I said, man, you just defy any fast person I've ever seen.
Just the way he's built.
That's where I started.
Yeah.
So I was giving him a hard time. I said, your hair a little wind resistant. I said, you're not a ground gainer. You're kind of a baby stepper, but your force against the ground is so quick.
Yeah.
Like he can just pick him up and put him down.
Which is harder.
Yeah.
It's harder to be fast
and he
that
makes
way.
it look.
And honestly, like if
he makes it look so easy because he has short legs.
Which is part of it.
That's why I like watching the combines.
Yeah.
Because real time when those guys are watching, I think they're looking at it. Now they get the cheat code, right? Because they'll see the 10 and they'll say, "Ooh, he's flying." But guys that are just kind of evaluating real time, they're looking at strides.
Yeah. So it reminds me of a guy like you're talking about, like a long strider. I always think of like a Denard Robinson. Had like really long strides. He was very glidey.
Yeah.
Like
Arian Foster.
Yeah.
Marshall Falk.
Yeah. Yeah. The gliders are super deceiving.
They are. Eric Dickerson.
Yeah. Because I also think that, it deceives the defense too, right? That's why you see guys like take the wrong angles, is they don't think they're moving as fast as they are.
You know a guy that ate up a ridiculous amount of ground, seemingly pretty easy?
Who's that?
You don't like him, but that's Bo Jackson.
Oh, no, he did, for sure.
Bo Jackson did not look like he was moving the way he was.
So I would argue a little bit, like, I don't know if it's because of his build or because I have other things in my head about him. He still looked like he was sort of running violently, even though he was.
When he got out on the open, his legs looked like scissors.
He was eating a ton of ground.
It's just like.
So I don't know if it was his overall build that made me feel like he was sort of violent in his running. It wasn't like choppy at all. It was very smooth.
Like when he pulled away, he has one against Denver. He's got one against Seattle.
There's a Seattle one that I think about.
And I'm not talking about the one where he ran through the tunnel.
No. It's on the other side, isn't it?
Yeah, you just think like, oh, they're gonna get him,
and then they just don't.
They never do. Randy Moss.
Moss is a really good long strider, because you would never look at that dude and be like elite speed.
Yeah, it's hard for those guys to kind of be fast.
Yeah, especially with like he seems lanky and kind of awkward almost.
I think there will be a ton of fat because who's DBs? No, it's tight ends and DBs today.
I think so. I think that's right.
It's tight ends and somebody. Who are the tight ends with?
Let me look at the schedule.
There should be some fast DB times. And the tight ends will be spectacular too.
Yeah, so Severe, our draft nerd, our resident draft nerd, put out an over-under, D-backs and tight ends.
D-backs. I never say that.
I usually don't either.
It's just two.
I don't know why I just did. I don't know.
D-backs.
It's because I finally slept less than you for once, and I'm a little off. No, so Severe put out
better or worse than the College World Series show?
Oh, worse.
That's as bad as I've seen you.
Worse.
Really?
A lot worse.
4,000 calories over the course of a night is worse?
Yeah.
I eat Nutter Butters.
You want to know what I ate yesterday? This was over the course of
it's already not a great day.
About 12 hours.
Okay, go.
So I went through 4 packages of Pop-Tarts. I went through an entire box of Thin Mints. I went through I still feel sick. Like this was not an enjoyable experience. I went through 3 bottles of Gatorade, and I went through 3 cans of regular Dr. Pepper. I never drink regular soda, but I was so desperate for sugar, I started pounding Gatorade.
Were you just getting bad readings? Because I know you said the thing was split, like it had split off.
Yeah, so it wasn't the readings that were bad. The sight went bad, so my blood sugar spiked really high, and then wouldn't come down.
Whatever it is that thing is connected to.
Well, so it's just in the skin, but the tube split, which is really hard to tell. I can tell when the part, like the little cannula that's in my leg, it's just a little tube that's in my leg. I can tell when that goes bad because it hurts. But if it goes bad outside of that, like if the tube that connects to the pump goes bad, it's really hard to tell because I can't feel anything because it's external, right? And so that went bad while I was playing tennis. It must have split or something, or I caught it on my racket, or I don't know. But sometimes I'll spike after tennis a little bit because I'll drink some Gatorade to make sure I don't go low. And so I was like, okay, it's probably fine. That was the problem. Was I thought it was the normal spike after exercise, and it was the pump was bad. So it took a lot longer to correct. So I stayed high for a long time, and then I plummeted, and I could not get the blood sugar back up. So that was, 4 packs of Pop-Tarts, an entire box of Thin Mints, 3 Gatorades, 3 cans of Dr. Pepper. I think I counted it was somewhere, because the 4 Pop-Tarts by themselves are 300 grams of carbs by themselves. I think I counted somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 grams of carb yesterday. And I don't eat that much anymore.
No, I get it.
Like it was brutal. It was about as bad as it's ever been.
The DBs, I think, where I was going with that is I think we'll see some pretty fast times. I'm the guy that I'm all in on. And it's not a Georgia thing. I want to see Starks because some of these Georgia safeties that have been really good in college, it hasn't always translated, which is surprising for how much NFL caliber talent they see. I'll be curious to see where Starks is.
I do want to. We'll get to this on the other side here, but Severe put out a question about what he thinks Fedoni's going to run as the tight end today. We'll get to that and everything else. More on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. You know, it's the place to be if you're watching sports. We appreciate being here every single day.
Sports.
We do like to watch sports. I'm excited to watch the DBs and tight ends. Not you.
Thank you.
Not D-backs.
Yeah.
Like Diamondbacks.
That was just weird.
Yeah, it felt awkward saying it, but I was already in it, so I didn't know what to do.
Committed.
Yeah, I was just like,
just shove.
We're out here, right?
This is where the magic happens.
So Severe asked a question.
How many people do you think know what we're talking about when I say that? When Benning Bites is on, can you hear the open, Shane? Or does it just go into the bites?
No, I think it's part of the.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because that's the only time I know when to talk, when we cut it.
Yeah. No, I think it's like the intro, like you hear the bump music or whatever for our show.
Do you know the catalyst for me saying that?
Wasn't it the interview?
Well, yeah, he goes, it's 100 degrees out here. Why are we were just in the weight room. Why are we moving this to outside? And I go, well, I mean, we're out here, right? It's the field. It's where the magic happens. That's what he said.
This is why he's refused to do another sit down with us. He's like, I'm not being out in 100-degree heat again. I'm not doing it. I
mean, we're out here. Might as well.
So
I look at it.
So I'm excited to watch today. You've got
some real this is a
tight ends and D-backs.
It's a really good.
Did it again. DBs. I've got it in my head now. Tight ends and DBs.
That's because you have a potty mouth.
No.
Yeah. And your only other off switch is to literally say Dean Blandino. If you think anything else, you're going the other way. This is how your mind works. I know the Tourette's thing with Joe. It's real.
Yeah, it is.
That's why you say it. It just instinctively closely rolls off the tongue.
I'm just a big Diamondbacks fan.
No, it's UNRP.
You know, I was a big like Tony Womack. You know.
What number did he wear? 6?
2, I think. I believe Tony Womack was a 2.
Google.
We're gonna get on the Google machine here.
If he wore number 6, you leave me alone for the rest of my life.
Forever?
I mean, that would be the best pull ever.
What do I get if he wore number 2?
Oh, in fact, you're right. You brought him up.
All right, fair.
You got to go to images again. Slow mo.
We're both wrong.
What do you wear?
51, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 12, 15, 1. 5, 5, 5. So we both missed. That's all right.
Yeah, I've got that clip for you.
What's that? What do you got? We're out here. This is the field where the magic happens.
Benning Bites with Damon Benning.
That's where that came from.
It's where the magic happens.
We're walking out under the tunnel. He's like, you got to be blank, blanking me. It's like, whoa, easy.
See, I'm not like that. I'm just a big Craig Counsell guy. Luis Gonzalez?
I was happy to see Milwaukee recover.
Steve Finley?
With him moving. And I do think the Cubs are going to be good this year.
Mark Grace?
No, Counsell. Matt going from the Brewers to the Cubs.
Oh.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Well, I mean, that seems harsh.
Who's your tight end one?
Byung-Hyun Kim?
Isn't it? What did you say his first name was?
Byung?
Yeah. Okay.
I think
this would be in there. I thought you said Hung Young.
No, Byung-Hyun.
Oh,
Byung-Hyun Kim. I think. Young? Shoot.
Like the sauce?
No, that's Yum Yum.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Byung-Hyun Kim.
Yeah, I wanted you to know that there was a B in there. I thought you said Hung Kim. And I was like, who?
Byung-Hyun Kim.
Don't. The whole rolling on. No.
Uruguay?
No.
That's fine.
Relax.
That's one of the, like, he had one of the wilder World Series.
Kim?
Yeah, because he blew those games late, and then they, like, still had to roll him out there. And although instead they're just like, hey, we're just going to throw Randy Johnson for the closer this time.
You've experienced this, but have you ever had to cheer for Kenley Jansen?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
we will embrace it.
Insert that same thing.
Him?
Blew a couple games, and then you got to keep rolling them out there.
Keep rock. We're out here, right?
And he just got re-signed. Enjoy that.
Not with us.
I know.
Thank God.
Whoa. Kim is a catcher. Relax.
No, like, I appreciate that he had a really nice career for a while. I think we're past that point. You guys keep sending us washed up, really good closers. Like, we had the Eric Gagne experience, too. Was not helping me out at all.
So,
anyway, my tight end one.
Yeah. Who's your tight end?
I mean, you're basically talking about two guys, right? It's either Loveland or
Warren?
Warren, yeah. So either Michigan or Penn State.
Do you like Arroyo?
Not to the same level.
I think he might test incredible.
You think so?
God, he diced the Shrine Bowl up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to fight you on him testing well, but if I'm it's for me, it's Loveland or Warren. I think I like Warren.
I'm still mad at Loveland because, again, I've said this. Mm-hmm. Nebraska was his coming out party.
Yeah. I think I like Warren better. I think.
Do more things?
Yeah, it can do more things. And I think he's a little bigger, like a little frame's a little bigger. I think he might be a little more versatile in, like, if you're asking him to do some, like, full tight end responsibilities.
I don't know how athletic this group will be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how well they're going to test.
I think Warren's athletic.
I think so. I don't know what the numbers are going to say. I think he's very functional football athletic.
Yeah, he can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. I think that about a lot of tight ends, though. Like, there's some real freaky guys for sure, but I think a lot of the super productive guys, I don't look at.
This is a good, on paper, it seems like a good tight end draft.
I would think so. Like, you've got good productive guys in this draft. Do you like Taylor from LSU at all?
Yes, I do. Who, by the way, has gotten so much better.
Mm-hmm. If you're like putting,
he had a good enough camp
mm-hmm.
where he's like, okay, you can go home.
Yeah,
he wasn't there a year ago.
Yeah,
he's gotten a ton better.
You really put my feet to the fire.
I think he was only at the Shrine for a day or two.
Yeah,
and like showed out, and they're like, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, like if you really put me to it, I probably take Taylor over Arroyo personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I like Taylor a lot.
I don't think I would. I wouldn't arm wrestle over it though.
Like I just honestly, it's just a vibe thing. But like just watching them, I like Taylor a little bit better. I don't have a really good reason.
Speaking of arm wrestle, Reacher.
Yeah,
drops an episode today.
You excited?
Yeah.
More excited for Reacher or to see what Fedoni runs?
Fedoni, because I want to be right.
That he's going to test well?
No, that he would get paid to play football.
Oh yeah, sure. So
No, you're right.
I mean,
people hate on that guy.
Yeah.
And they have for a long time.
Yeah.
So I want.
And listen, I'll speak to that a little bit.
I'm riding with that guy.
I think there was a big frustration with how he was used.
Probably.
I think he was.
I think smart people that won't want to be right
mm-hmm.
will admit that.
Yeah.
I think, but there is a good portion of people that are just like, they just won't think well of him. I don't know if it was so you know what? I do know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he earned some of it,
mm-hmm.
right? When he clapped back at his own fan base.
Sure.
Right. And early on, he was a guy that would tell you what he was thinking on social media.
Yep.
I just don't think he ever really endeared himself.
Sure.
But I'm just telling you, and I've said this from the jump, and maybe it's because I'm biased and I know him. If I had to go compete at something and I wanted to win, I'm right. I'm picking that guy.
Yeah, he's a psycho. In a good way.
He's relentless.
Yeah. So, and that's why Rule likes him.
He's just, and they're a lot alike.
Yeah.
Like, quiet as kept, their personalities are very similar.
And he said that. Rule said as much. I think part of it, so there's two things with Fedoni. One, I think you're right. He never really endeared himself personality-wise to the fan base. I do think the lack of production when you kind of act that way sometimes works against you.
Yeah, because people will say, well, you better be good. And it's like those two things, being competitive and not putting up with a bunch of BS and speaking your mind, does not always have to come with being a certain level of achievement.
No, but we give people a lot more leeway when they achieve at a high level to say what they want.
But that's an us thing.
It is. But
it's like this. It's like a made up social rule.
It is. But if we're talking about why he's perceived the way he is, that's a part of it, right? Yeah. And obviously, again, we've talked about this with some other guys, but the accolades he had coming in also kind of worked against him.
Yeah. Because
you have a certain level of expectation for a guy that is touted the way. I mean, he was the highest ranked tight end in his class. Like, there was a certain level of expectation there. And that kind of worked against him when he got off to the slow start with injuries. I think the other thing is, I think people had a hard time separating whether or not the struggles we saw from Fedoni this year were because he was being asked to do things that weren't in his strong suit, or if he just wasn't that guy anymore. I genuinely think people couldn't tell the difference. And I don't, full disclosure, there was times I probably couldn't tell either. Because when you're asking a guy that I don't know what was in his strong suit to take kind of these little tight end swing passes all the time, that didn't really seem to be the best place to use him. And he was used there a lot, and I think people got really frustrated with that. And I think it kind of got rolled into a frustration with Marcus Satterfield. And it all sort of became this one big ball of discontent. And we didn't really take the time to separate out who or why. I think that was a big thing with Fidone. And so Fidone kind of just got lumped in with some of the stuff we were just unhappy about.
Where did you put Helm in there?
Because
we had to watch him on television a lot.
Helm's pretty good.
People. I thought the early drops really hurt Texas in that one.
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not pushing Loveland or Warren for sure in my mind. He's probably closer in that Arroyo Taylor group for me. I still think I like Taylor better. I think, but again, that's more of just a gut reaction thing. I don't know that I have a good reason, except for when I watch him, I think he's better. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's enough. When I watch him, I think Taylor's better.
I can't wait because I think people will have a chance to actually change some narratives.
Yeah.
We'll see, because I think Fidone is a little bit better of a natural pass catcher.
Sure.
Than we gave him credit for.
And that's one of the things I got frustrated with, because I thought he could have been really useful in those intermediate passing game where he would have shined doing that.
Yeah.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We've got Mike Sautter coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Mike Sautter.
Yeah.
Mike Sautter.
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot.
Mike Sautter.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Mike Sautter of Hurrdat Sports and NEB Preps. What's going on, Mike?
How y'all doing?
That's definitely the Jerome in you. Good morning to you, too. Wow. How doing?
What? I just said hi.
Gonna ask me for my keys and wallet next?
Pressing.
It didn't have to be a black thing. Jeez.
What was the Jerome comment?
His middle name. I'll do it.
Good word.
Hey, whatever you want, man. You can have it. It's yours, Jerome.
Hey, you ain't seen Minister of Society is one of my favorite movies, Debo.
Yeah. You gonna eat your cheeseburger?
Oh, that's probably not the scene I'm talking about.
That kid was a menace.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dog. Whoo. I got to get this out of the way. Are you a Reacher fan?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's right. I forgot you don't watch a lot of television. I do agree with KP though. The acting is horrible. But
hey, let me tell you about the television thing though. I did just notice the other night that forget what night it was, Tuesday, that Cobra Kai had some new episodes in there. So I binged those up real quick. Like I've watched every episode of Cobra Kai on Netflix.
Those up. You binged those up?
Is that what it's called? I don't know. You just sit there and watch them like over.
No, believe I know all about that.
I think it's just called binging.
I know all about that. Although I heard somebody say something yesterday. It might have been, was it McAfee? It was somebody on the. I was listening to Satellite, and somebody said there's nothing after text. It's just text. And I was like, oh gosh, I need that. I need to say that to my little producer who constantly and incessantly says texted. You don't need to say texted.
I don't think there's a plural form of text.
Well, there should be.
I texted it.
Whoa.
I texted a lot of people last night.
Sent some text.
I binged. What did he say?
Binged it up.
I binged it up.
Binged it up, man. Binged it up.
Let me ask you something, Jerome, because I think both games are ridiculously important. Who has the tougher game? Is it the folks that are playing Minnesota or the folks going to Cincinnati?
The folks playing Minnesota have the ultimate must-win game of the season. If you lose that game, you're not making the NCAA tournament.
That's not true. That's not true.
Come on.
You think if Nebraska loses to Minnesota, they're out of the tournament?
It's about as must-win as it gets.
Quad 3 losses.
It's about as must because you're gonna not have. You'll be what? Let's just say you lose that game, and then you win. You'd absolutely have to win the next two, and at Ohio State's gonna be tough.
Aren't we thinking 2-1 anyway? You just don't want it to. You just don't want it to.
It can't be Minnesota.
It can't be Minnesota.
I don't think it can be Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think it could be 2-1. It cannot be Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think the only team that you can feel good about is Ohio State because it's going to go down as a quad 1 loss.
Yeah.
The other, because Iowa's at home is kind of on that borderline anyway. Because 75 the cutoff for
who's better?
Yeah, it'd be a 2.
Who's better on the road, Minnesota or Iowa?
Well, Minnesota beat.
The answer is Minnesota.
Yeah, they went to LA and won.
Boxstar
like a couple weeks ago. Both games.
The committee did.
No, we did because that's what you guys are throwing in my face.
We're throwing it in your face because we're told by the committee that's what they're looking at.
What I'm saying is like that wouldn't be the most egregious thing if you're actually just looking at how teams play. But I get it. You can't lose to Minnesota, but you ain't gonna get bounced.
No, I understand from the standpoint of like, listen, it's not an egregious loss because of how Minnesota plays and they're playing well right now.
It's the problem with quads. I'm an anti-quad guy.
It's the problem with the committee, and you're right. The quads are stupid because if you're looking at if you're looking at Iowa being like 72 versus 76, and all of a sudden that changes your resume, that's dumb. It's the same basketball team. Yep. I agree with you, but we also know this is what the committee does, right? So I think you can look at it and say, hey, Minnesota is unequivocal because they're not going to move into. There's no chance for them to move into a quad 2. Like that's gonna, if that's a bad loss, and the committee will view it as such.
Yeah, it's from a metric standpoint, it would look really bad. So
even though, like, as a basketball fan, it may not be a worse loss
because you're right. They've played really well on the road. Minnesota has. They like the February 15th and 18th. They beat USC and UCLA in LA.
Wait a minute. What was the month before the 15th and the 18th?
February.
One more time.
February.
All right. I just
you did not say I said that. Like, did I say it wrong?
You got enunciation today, Sautter. I don't know.
There's just two words that bug me.
Byung-Hun Kim.
What are the two words?
Coincidentally, they have B's in them as well.
What are the two words? Fudge and what?
February and library.
Yeah.
Library.
That's not how you say it.
I know it's not.
So you're not a big library guy?
No.
Okay.
Library.
Yes, library.
Library.
Knock it off. Okay, so with how Minnesota likes to play in Garcia and perimeter play, what do you think happens?
I think Nebraska wins. I think they win. I don't know. Kempom has it like it is 79% win. Now that is wrong a lot, but I think it's probably 8-10 points. It should be anywhere from 8 to 10 win for Nebraska, I think. If they play with the same energy and defensive effort that they did the other night, which I loved that game. I am very on the outside of people that Jacob, our friend Jacob called me a sicko for loving that game, but I loved it. If they play like that, they'll win by 20.
If they play offense like that, they're not winning by 20.
Both teams can play defense now. The goal is to stop the opponent from scoring, right? Like
I think the goal is to score more points than your opponent, right?
But defensively, you're trying to stop the team from scoring. So like both teams can play defense and it can be actually pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. I thought it was awesome.
Did you see any of Michigan Rutgers last night?
No, I was at state diving first yesterday, and then I went to Gretna High versus Platteview sub-district final. So no, I didn't get a chance to see it.
I just think people are kind of – I feel like the last, 2 or 3 weeks, people are not as bullish on the Big Ten. And I would just caution folks. Like, I get it aesthetically because you're thinking, well, how many of these teams could actually win a national championship?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I'd say, and I watch a ton of conferences. I think there's some really hard scouts
in the Big Ten.
Yes, yeah, it's very hard to simulate. Even a team that's underachieving like Illinois, it's very hard to simulate what they would do in a scout, how they could get you.
Well, and you've got 3 high-level guys there that's going to be difficult to deal with, right?
Oh, the youngins?
Correct.
Yeah. Like that's a hard team, not just to scout, but even if you scout them right, they can just beat you.
I mean, even take Maryland.
Yeah.
Who just laid an egg, right?
You got Queen and Reese Gillespie. Like, what are you doing there? Like, that's a tough scout.
3 very capable guys in the backcourt with Gillespie, Rice, and Miguel.
Yeah. I think go big also with Queen and Reese. Same thing. You have an issue with Michigan going 2 bigs.
Yeah, post entry from a big like.
The Michigan bigs they're not just like 7-foot dudes just roaming around. They can move and all that stuff. They're pretty good.
Works against some of the teams.
Against them.
Yeah,
I think the same's true for Creighton.
Well, I think the Big East in general.
Yeah,
but that's more for how it's officiated.
True, but I also think Creighton is a tougher scout when you don't know them.
Oh, 100%.
Like I know you were out there on, what was that, Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah.
Where, I mean, not an particularly inspiring performance by Creighton, but like, were you, and DB asked me this, and I thought it was a good question. Like, were you surprised by how angry Mac seemed about the way that team played?
Well, yeah, because they could have, should have won by 25, and they just kind of took their foot off the gas in the last probably 5 minutes of the game after going up by 20. One thing on, and I can get back to this, but I want to just say it. I cannot believe that DePaul got away with what they got away with on the defensive end, fouling wise. They could have been called for a foul every pass, every possession, every time Kalkbrenner touched it. Like, it was unbelievable, the lack of foul calls and the physicality they played with that didn't get called. And I know Kalkbrenner gets fouled, like, every time he touches it anyway, but that was absurd. Back to your original question. I think he probably should have been frustrated. They didn't play well. They were uninspired. They kind of just rolled the ball out and won the game. And like, you can't, I think he was more upset with just the effort and energy. I mean, they clearly were a shorthanded team, DePaul was. And I think it's hard to get, because players know, who's on the scouting report, who's playing, who's not. So you're like, oh, whatever. They're the last place team in the league, and we're just going to roll, we're going to just roll the ball out. And I think that's the mentality that they kind of had. And then when they went up by 20, I think they thought that they'll just quit, and DePaul didn't. And I think that's probably part of what the, I guess, frustration. Mac didn't use the word. He didn't want to use the word frustration after the game, but I guess I'm going to, for lack of a better term, it was frustration after the game.
I mean, at 54 in KenPom ratings, BPI likes Xavier a little bit too. I just wonder if this will be the perfect setup for Creighton to match a team that's going to play pretty hard.
Some heat, yeah, like that. That's
and so it will be easier for Creighton if you're going to do the level of competition thing,
right?
Match the juice.
Yeah, 100%. Like that, Centris Center will be jacked. So, and that Xavier's absolutely playing to get on the other side of the last 4 out, or whatever you want to call that, bubble talk. And I'm pretty sure that Mac has their attention after what happened against DePaul and the kind of lack of effort. It also goes to show, I mean, think of the coaching job McDermott has done this year. It's pretty good. Like, if you really think about it, it's pretty dang good. You lost Pop Isaacs after beating Kansas. You lost some games there. You look at the roster and you're like, okay, we don't have any like electric guys, The
way to replace a 45% 3-point shooter. Mason Miller, he wasn't banking on needing to fill that void.
Right. Yeah, that's a guy you probably thought you could count on this year.
Right. Andrew has been more missed than hit lately. There's a lot.
Didn't know when you were going to get Fedor eligible.
Yeah.
That was a big thing hanging over early.
Yeah. And I know anytime you get a chance to work in a Zugic reference.
Absolutely, 100%.
You're going to. I would imagine for Nebraska, from an emotional standpoint, I don't know. I think I would classify the juice that they'll need as intensity rather than not desperation, because you can channel that energy over a longer period of time. I do think though that they will play with an elite level sense of urgency.
Yeah. I feel that way. Bryce is so level, but after the game the other day, he was positive. Fred was decently positive, except for at the beginning of the press conference after the game, where he was just a little upset that they couldn't make a shot. And then yesterday we talked to Raleigh during availability, and he seemed pretty upbeat. I think they feel good with where they're at, Nebraska, right now. I think they're pretty positive with their effort, and I think they just kind of just like you kind of chalk the Penn State game up to, man, we've been on the road and we're just didn't want to be here and retire. You just throw that one away. I think you kind of do the same, but in a little bit more positive way. Like, man, if we would just made 1 or 2 more shots against Michigan, we would have had a top 15 win and been, really good and a good spot. But we played hard and played defense really well. We were connected and locked in. I think that's the message, and I could feel that a little bit. Just I think there's some positivity there. So I think they're going to come out and play hard and play very inspired. And I think, it's a stripe out, so we'll see if that actually works. And people follow the instructions of their section and have to be what colored shirt they're wearing. But I think it's going to be a pretty jacked up crowd and excited. PBA has been really good, except for when people leave with under 4 with a 4-point game against a top 15 team.
I thought that was just a Creighton deal, people leaving early. You mean it happens in Nebraska too?
Happened multiple times this year.
My bad. Okay, sorry. I was led to believe that was exclusively a Creighton problem. Anyway, so let's get to high school hoops here.
Okay.
Get into the
lot going on.
What's that? Yeah.
I said there's a lot going on in high school hoops right now.
There is
a
lot going on. Why don't you start us out with where you're going to be this weekend trying to sift through all of what's going on?
Well, tonight I think I'm going to go to Papio South at Bellevue East girls district final. That's probably I could go there. I could go Bell West, Lincoln Southwest girls game. One of those two I'll be at. Let's start at 6, I think. And then tomorrow, try and catch like the end of a game after the Nebraska game, kind of make it back. See what games start at 7 or whatever. Try my best to do that. And then Monday, I'll be District A7. So we'll see how that shakes out, but it'll be at Creighton Prep. And if Creighton Prep is playing in that District A7 final, this will be the 3rd year in a row that they've played in the District A7 final. And we'll see if they can actually win on their home court in a district final for the first time in 3 years. So, and then Tuesday, I will be watching Ohio State, Nebraska.
All right. So, Jerome, I want to go back to the young ladies here for a second because top seeds are holding.
Yeah.
Of the trickies though, and it makes sense because they're the last district seedings with Westside and Kearney and Westview and Millard South. Those, in your opinion, because that's how the seedings would go, right?
I think the West
was to be the most competitive.
Westside Kearney should probably be. I would say that's probably going to be pretty competitive. My thing on the Papio South though is just Papio South upset Central the other night, and they also have one Addison Medic who is back and playing. So I kind of want to see her.
Very familiar last name.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Has a bunch of offers. She was injured for a little bit, so I kind of that was my reasoning for maybe going to that one.
Eye popping too, because you look at the prowess of Bellevue East and kind of the sum of their parts.
Mm-hmm.
Papio Vista South, I think, is the only team still playing with a losing record.
Right. And that's because of Addison hasn't played all year. So.
I mean, you see just 8 wins and you think, oh, man, what? But again, with her not playing, changes. I guess, Southeast is below 500 too, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't know if Southeast going to have a tough one tonight.
Millard West is very capable.
That might be an understatement.
You know, I don't like to do predictions, but I'm gonna predict that one. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Millard West is gonna win by a lot of points tonight over to Lincoln Southeast.
What do you think happens with Bellevue West and Lincoln Southwest?
Could be tough. Bellevue West has a little more depth, obviously playing at home. But Barada's a really good coach at Southwest. Does a really good job with limited numbers and, don't have a ton to work with there. But that game could be a 50-50 deal. That's one of those if I start at Bellevue West or if I start at Bellevue East, and that gets out of hand at all, I could just run over the hill to Bellevue West and catch the end of that. If we'll see what happens. But.
Let me back up to last weekend and state wrestling. Put a bow on that bad boy. Some incredible footage and some individual wrestling. Was it the individual performances, right? We're well documented with Lordson and Terry and Ziola, or the fact that at least in the short term, prep isn't going anywhere in a real dominant performance.
Yeah, in that middle of that question, I was like, yeah, the story's probably prep.
I know, but it's so hard because Tyson did something that no one's ever done in the history of high school.
Right. The historical stuff, but outside of like the individual, it's prep because they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Like there was that Millard South dynasty, that we just kind of got through. Hey, and Millard South still finished 6th. Like I'm not throwing any shade on them at all. Like they still finished the top 10 finish is still pretty good. But prep was 5 points away or something from breaking Millard South's tournament team point record, which no one thought that. I mean, that's crazy. They didn't get it this year, but they'll get it. They'll get it in the next year or 2 or 3. And Cruiser Dominguez is the dude. Like he is way good, little guy, man. But he is obviously a big wrestling family there. He's going to be the next really, really big name. And one thing that we got a lot overshadowed in Class B was Scott and Tyler Harrell. He won his 3rd straight. He'll be going for 4 next year, and we just didn't talk about it. Like we just didn't talk about it.
How good was Cade to have Harrell not get any run?
Yeah.
No,
well, Cade. Cade's done. I think Cade gets the run because of the national prowess, right? Like, he's the first ever Ironman champion from Nebraska and Fargo finalist type of stuff. Stuff like that. He's top 5 in the country, but the way Cade wrestles, he was on the mat in 4 matches for like 5 minutes.
Do you know how hard it was for me to get that still? It took me about 17, 18 minutes to get that video right where I wanted it to catch that still.
Well,
I should have just asked you for it from hand, send it over to me. It'll have been a lot easier to edit, but
yeah. He's Cade is a phenomenal, not just wrestler, but person. And that's what I think people gravitate to him and Tyson Terry. Like they're just great kids and they work hard. They're not in trouble. They really care about their school and community and school community. Same thing with Kyler. I think that's why we kind of gravitate towards people like that. And those people get the more attention. One, because they're great athletes, but they're respectful. All of that, right? Like all of those things. There's no unsportsmanlike stuff. There's none of that with them. And I think they care about their communities, and that's what is important. And I think that's why people want to talk about them and cover them and do things for them.
Mike, before we let you go, at what point did you know about Tyson's ACL? Like, were you learning about it real time with the rest of us? Because I think personally, I was blown away.
You got to go back to day one when you and I were talking about it. Like, is it torn? Is it not torn?
Back in October when it got
right,
like way on the cutting edge of this.
Like that was when he came out and said that he'd been doing this on a torn ACL. I was just stunned.
Yeah. So we talked about like back when it happened, there was the ACL, and then I actually asked. And it, at the time, was told that it was an MCL.
Yeah, and Ryan, my boy, and he told me no.
Yeah, it was an MCL sprain, and so I just went with that the whole time. And I found out on Saturday that it was a torn ACL, just like everybody else. So I was like, holy! And then when I was standing kind of in the back of that scrum, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, holy shit! Like what he did that with that, like I couldn't believe it. So
I got a to-go order of gizzards from the cabin on Friday, and it was relatively empty. And I'm like, Friday night cabin?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, they're all at wrestling. They're watching Tyson Terry because I mean,
watching their boy.
Yeah.
The contingency that he had there was
they were rolling deep,
super deep.
Well, and they should it's a first time ever thing.
All 89,000 of them are down at wrestling.
He's got a decently large family.
Yes, indeed.
Well, he's about to get a large one with all of his friends from University of Nebraska that were down there supporting well.
One thing, I am so rooting for Thomas Fedoni today because that's my guy, man. Like I've been riding with that guy since Lewis Central. I hope he just kills it today, and I think he will because he did. That's why he was as highly touted out of high school. All those testing numbers, he usually just kills that stuff.
You and me both, man. I just wish the fan base would have got a chance to kind of embrace him on a different level without kind of the vitriol and the pushback. And I said it. He's kind of he played into it,
right? And that's his personality. And frankly, if that guy doesn't hurt his knee twice, he would have killed it. Like he would have been amazing, and people wouldn't have hated him. He would have produced way more if take that guy without the injuries. He would have been the guy. So people need to probably just back up a little bit and think about, he blew his knee twice. Like
protective, Jerome Sautter. I like that.
That's Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports, NAB Prep. Sautter, have a good weekend and try to get some sleep at some point. All right.
Nah, that's overrated.
All right, you can sleep in April. We'll talk to you later, Mike.
See you, buddy.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, and we're brought to you by our friends over at Centris Federal Credit Union. DB, I know you're still driving that car out there. I know you got to figure it out.
I'm poor.
You got to get over to our guys at centrisfcu.org and let them help you figure out your car situation. They have experts that can help you out with auto loans. See what your options are. See what you can afford. See what all the bells and whistles are, the interest rates, all that good kind of stuff that most of us don't know anything about. That's why they've got the experts at centrisfcu.org to help you out navigating the car purchasing situation. You want to go in there, not be at the mercy of the dealer. You want to have some things on your side. Centris can help you out there. Federally insured by NCUA. DB, I want to get back to something that Sautter said at the end there because – listen.
Your mood changed.
Listen. Okay, we can root for Thomas Fidone, right? I'm rooting for Thomas Fidone. I don't know him. I've never spoke to him. I don't know him personally at all. I have no vested interest in Thomas Fidone. But he's a kid from Nebraska. The better he does at the combine, the better Nebraska looks, right? That's a pretty simple equation for me.
Yeah.
I want people from Nebraska to do well because that means Nebraska can do better in the future. But let's not sit here and we can't sit here and pretend the injuries didn't happen. We can't I get Mike is closer to the situation than most. I know you're closer to the situation than most as well, right? But we can't sit here and be like, oh, well, if he didn't blow out his knee twice, but he did. Like that matters in the course of how a guy's career is perceived.
Yeah.
We can't just pretend like that didn't happen. And I also think it's exaggerating to say that most Nebraska fans hate Thomas Fidone. There is a section that has a weird vitriol for him. I recognize that. I think most people were just disappointed that we didn't ever get to see the guy we thought we were getting.
I think that's fair.
Right?
I think that's fair. I don't want to broad brush the sentiment. It's just that he never got a chance to, and it's the word that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Jerome's thing is his thing, and
that's fine.
And he invested a lot early.
He did
in that family, so I recognize that. That's a set apart.
Yeah,
he's got the special relationship with those guys. What I'm saying though is, I said it's a shame that he didn't get a chance to endear himself.
100%.
That endear is the word that I use.
Yes, you did,
because of the rocky start.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he was the guy that other tight ends would something would be on Twitter and he would respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, but you also don't get, well, you don't get that his life without him in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad analogy, but what I'm saying is it's the same, that clapback stuff on social media and
it's the same thing that makes him super competitive.
It's why he's at the combines.
100%. Yeah. I get it.
Without his mentality,
mm-hmm.
you had to be shocked
that he got the invite.
Yeah.
I was pretty stunned. I was stunned that he got one and Nash didn't. Fair. I think that's surprising.
I think most people would.
That's surprising, considering how their careers went. That's surprising.
And so but he needs to be who he is to put himself in position for what he's doing today.
100%. And I appreciate that about him. I appreciate that he's overcome a lot. But I don't think you can sit here and be like, oh, Nebraska fans should have their hands slapped for being disappointed in how his career went. I bet he's disappointed in how his career went. This didn't go the way he wanted it to go, right? There's no way. And so listen, I do wish him the best. I hope he has a great day today. I hope he runs something that the second number starts with a 5, right? 4.5 something would be an incredible time.
That would be incredible.
It would, right?
But I think I'm going to peg him.
I don't even think he needs to.
I'm going to peg him.
But that'd be great.
I'm going to go.
You can put it out there?
I'm going to go 4.68.
Which would be terrific.
I'm going to go 4.68.
Listen, if he runs in the 4.6s, that's a really good time. And I think that'll make him some money. If he can do, and I don't know, I really don't know. I have no frame of reference for what his speed is like now, right? If he can do even, let's say a 4.59 instead of like a.
I just wonder what he's going to weigh in.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too.
I don't know if I've seen any numbers yet officially. They should be out. They're obviously they're posted because of today.
Yeah, they should be getting the numbers here in just a second and have them public. But like I think it's a little disingenuous to paint with such a broad brush. I don't think most Nebraska fans hate Thomas Fidone. I would say that number is incredibly small. And those people are probably not the people I want to talk to anyway.
Yeah, and but to Sautter's point, I'm not defending. I'm just going to give you the facts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of the pushback and narrative of negativity towards Thomas was a lot of what you would hear Coach Rule talk through and to the players about not dealing or worrying about background noise.
Sure. Yeah.
I do. Like, I think because it was so public.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, stop paying attention to the ridiculous stuff. Like, move on.
And I mentioned this earlier. I do think,
and he has a good relationship with Thomas, so I'm sure they would talk about him channeling his emotions better.
And I do think fans, myself included, had a hard time separating frustration for the offense and some of the things we saw from Fidone, right? It's not Fidone's fault that some of those plays were called for him, as opposed to the stuff I thought he'd be better at. Like, that's not his fault, but he kind of gets lumped into that. Like, I think I tweeted out at one point, I could go the rest of the season without seeing another swing pass to Thomas Fidone.
Everybody did.
And I believe that, but that's not Fidone's fault. He was called on to do something. He did his best to do it. Like, that's not his.
We heard it for 4 weeks on the show. I had to get into the difference between.
Sure. Like a check down versus swing pass and a called play versus
and built-in RPOs.
Which I totally understand.
That was a real thing.
And I totally get that. I was frustrated that I didn't think they used Fidone in places he could be more successful, right? Intermediate passing game, I thought he could have eaten this year. Never really got to saw that consistently. So, like, part of that is frustration with the offense. Part of that's frustration with never seeing the version of Fidone that we thought we were going to see at some point in his career because of the injuries. And part of that's just the season probably didn't go the way we all wanted it to, right? There's a certain point in the season where you think, hey, 8 or 9 wins is on the table, and then that doesn't happen. There's a certain point of the season where you think, oh, maybe Thomas Fidone will finally have his breakout year, and that doesn't really happen. Like, even with Dylan, you go, oh, man, the season started off really great, and then kind of had a lull in the middle. And like, that didn't really, like, none of it really went how we wanted to. And so I think there was just this overall disappointment, and Fidone got lumped into some of that. But I do think the word hate is overblown. Let's get to Asian Wyatt. He wants to talk about Thomas Fidone a little bit here. Wyatt, what's going on, buddy?
How's it going?
Hi, Wyatt. How we doing?
That's so weird.
Wow. Wow. I feel like that's kind of a subtle shot.
Well,
he said, "Wow, that is so weird."
Well,
I'm not Ravi, so
what's up, Wyatt?
So I think some of the things. I mean, as a partial to Fidone, the way we think about him, I think there's a bit of a history just in general with the tight end position that we just feel like the tight ends here just haven't been utilized as well as they could have. So we don't feel like none of them have really reached their potential. I mean, that goes back to like Stephen Carter and
Kyler Reed.
Kyler Reed. Yep. Even Austin Allen and Vokalek and Jack. I mean, we never even thought Jack Stoll. He's still in the NFL. We never thought he'd do anything because he didn't really do anything here. We can remember.
Yeah.
So I think some of that just subconscious baggage is tied Fidone down a little bit as well.
Hey, that's a good call, Wyatt. Like that really is.
Yeah.
That's a good call because what we experience with the program in general is kind of amplified in that room.
And I think to your point, it's you hear some disappointment in what Wyatt's trying to explain for the development of the tight end position
100%.
as a whole.
Yeah. And I think Fedoni gets lumped in there. And I think we thought with Fedoni, like, oh, he's finally going to break through. We got like a super high because we liked a lot of those guys, right? We liked Kyler Reed. He was on the Mackey preseason watch list. We liked Vokalek. We liked Austin Allen. I can't tell you how many times I was like, hey, you have a 6'8" guy in the back of the end zone. Throw it to him.
Yeah.
Throw it to that guy.
I mean, it doesn't help when guys like Reed and Ethan Carter, like they sign pro contracts.
Yeah. I mean, he brought up Jack
Stoll.
Stoll, still in the NFL. Vokalek got a look in the NFL. Like, there's a lot of these guys. You go, hey, if they're good enough for the NFL, why couldn't we get them the ball? Yeah. And I think that's really frustrating. And I think that frustration will grow if you're right and Thomas Fedoni makes money to play football. We're going to wrap up the show with Matt Vrzal coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Now let's find out what Matt Vrzal is better at. Telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Vrzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Vrzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Vrzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Vrzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
Wrapping up the show and wrapping up the week like we always do with our Friday friend, Matt Vrzal, here on Hurrdat Sports Live. What's up, Verz?
Ah, crap.
What now?
You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Can you hear us? I don't think you can.
You can't hear us? Oh, he's going to the different cans.
Can you hear us?
What's up, fuckers?
2 for 2. What's going on, Verz? How you doing today?
If Cam Broham is listening, which I kind of fixed my roadcaster so I could hear it when I talk into that. But when you guys talk to me, I still can't hear you. And I fixed this by punching it.
Yeah.
Because I used to not be able to hear anything. And I only got one way. So anyway, I got 2 sets of headphones. What you got McAfee up there for, Damon? You hate McAfee.
Because Coach Rule was on there yesterday.
Oh, so that you swallowed your pride and put a Pat McAfee
for the record
up there.
Much like Ravi's little diatribe he just went on with people don't hate Thomas Fedoni. It's a little overstated. I don't hate Pat McAfee. Hate's a little strong. I think he gets away with a lot of nonsense.
You should be so used to that, though. Like their whole shtick, what they do is an offensive lineman's meeting room.
He just he's got a lot of yes guys, and I don't know what they do, except
they make it fun.
Well, they're like they're like fluffers. It's like
a skit.
Okay.
How does a holy man like you know what a fluffer is?
Somebody told it to me once.
Oh.
Somebody explained it to me.
Oh, okay.
And I had to Google.
Yeah.
It's not that funny, Ravi. Let's move on.
It's a little funny.
It's kind of what they remind me of. I didn't even like their questions to Coach Rule. I was like, come on, guys. I know you guys.
But see, though, do you look at what they put on there? Like it's informative, entertaining. Informative entertainment. Like they're trying to entertain.
I know.
It's funny. Do you think AJ Hawk is a yes man?
No, when AJ Hawk talks, he's fine, but he'll go like 20 minutes and just be looking at the screen.
That's the weirdest part of that show is just having AJ Hawk's giant head on there without saying a word for like an hour at a time. It's so weird.
You should sue him. He's got your haircut.
Oh,
I think he had it first, to be fair.
Now, how much of your pushback has to do with the fact you always have this stupid show on when I come in before you open?
I think it's hilarious.
I think
it takes me back to just being in the locker room and cutting it up with the fellas. It really does. I laugh about it every day.
And you know how I know. You know how I know
there's just a dumb statement coming from somebody, and it's and their timing. Like you gotta admit,
you pump it in through the place, and the TVs are still dark, so I can hear it.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
see
great.
anything, and it drives me up the wall.
It's fantastic.
It's ridiculous.
Because some of those guys, you gotta admit, like Haas could be Boston Connor, kind of an instigator.
Yeah,
just kind of stirs it up.
Well,
Taylor, I would probably be in the tie roll because I'm the smartest one. Taylor would.
Those
Taylor
are some pot stirrers, though. I get it.
Yeah,
I get
it's great.
So who was McAfee in that room?
And when you're sitting there and you know if you slip up just a millimeter, they are going to be all over you, and it's gonna expound out. It's gonna turn into a big joke. Oh God, it's so funny. I just laugh every morning.
So
Damon would be our McAfee. We would just wait for him to.
Me and my white tank tops.
We would wait for him to tell us the word of the day, and then we just go.
The word of the day is fluffer.
It is not.
Yeah, that's a little lowbrow for you. It's low hanging fruit.
I'm so sick of you right now, and it's only been 6 minutes.
And you're on the internet, so when you try to get rid of me like at 10, I ain't getting off. I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah, we kept you a little long last week, too.
We did.
It's fun.
Oh, yeah, 10:01. Nailed it.
We're wild now that we're on the internet, Verz.
Hey, you're crazy. You guys are outlaws.
Dude.
Hey, what is it with two? Why you guys got, like, you drink a lot of coffee? Like, both your pictures are with coffee.
No, this was a coffee thing. It's a thing.
Are you sponsored by a coffee company?
No.
You interested in taking over?
No, I ain't got no coffee company.
Doesn't have to be coffee. We like Pisons.
No, I like you paying. That's always great. I like your money the best.
Oh, Matthew, I have a question.
Matthew? Yeah.
I don't know why you think he's so funny this morning.
I don't know. He's funny today.
Because I am. I'm funny every day, Robbie.
Your particular brand of humor is more amusing to me today.
All right. 288, 1710. I know you're not going to be enamored by the 40 time because they don't get to do that. But are you surprised that a guy that is even in the Shrine Bowl, those early critiques, who did we talk to that was at the Reese's still? And like, I asked him about T-Rob, and he's like, he's one of those guys that excels more in 9-on-7 and in the team stuff than being eye-popping in the individual drills. And I was like, okay, I could kind of see that because what we like about him when we watch him in real games is the get off and kind of how he can collapse things. You probably need more of a team deal to appreciate that. Were you surprised that individually he answered that dinner bell as more than just like an effort and toughness guy?
No. I think what Ty does that's great is that so when you need him, right? And I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but Ty Robinson's draft position is going to be established by the film he put on during the season and in the Senior Bowl. And then now what a GM has is validation. Like, hey, we wonder how fast he is, or was he just timing the count, blah, 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 blah.
The opposite of Shamar Stewart, right? Who has no film, but then tested like a madman yesterday.
Right. And you're taking a shot on those. Like those, it's 2025. Like everybody's got film. I mean, you got to find something somewhere. I think the thing that makes Ty unique is when you say a guy fits into and you're not saying it, but whomever you talk to that you can't remember. But when you fit into 9-on-7 or a team, that means that he conceptually understands what's going on. He knows where he has to be, and he knows how he fits into what they're trying to do for the defense, not for himself, for the defense. I think that speaks more to his IQ and knowledge of the game. And now you have validation with your testing, and then you have film to see what he's done, and then away you go. So I think that was kind of the cherry on top for Ty and where he's going to end up. Now, I don't know what round that's going to be. To me, he's probably fourth to later. But, hey, all you're looking for is a shot. You don't have to – every team doesn't have to like you. One team has to like you.
Go ahead.
I was going to say 4 seems low. He's moved himself into the day 2 discussion maybe, but he won't get to 4. He won't get to the 4th round.
I'll bet you. How much? About 20? Bet you 20?
Yeah, that's fair.
Put your hand up.
Shake it.
No, we're
right.
good. Yeah. 20, but okay.
I'll give you – I mean, I think I'm always I think right now Nebraska players, unless you're an absolute freak, you're on the back end of it a little bit.
I feel
yeah. But I mean, I would say like early 4th. But yeah, I'll take that bet. That's a good bet.
So you just don't think Nebraska guys are getting the benefit of the doubt right now?
Not right now. No, because it's a 1-year success, and you got to your bowl game and you won it, but you've had years, and it's no fault of Ty's. He's not fumbling the ball. He's not throwing touchdowns. He's doing everything he can, and the defense has kept Nebraska in games for a ton of time. So it could flip around and turn on me where that's a benefit, where they saw how hard he played and kept them in games. But
hey, so like you'll obviously take my money. I'll take your product. How much would
you like that herb?
How much
on the pizza? On the pizza.
That was great.
But
you walked right into that one.
Caught me speechless. I was like, no, I don't. So what's one of those protein bowls run? What would that run me naturally? No,
for you?
Yeah, normally
$20.
Jeez, I don't even have any wiggle room. I think I'm just gonna drink my lunch.
No, those go usually $8.50.
Oh, okay.
So you get a couple.
Yeah.
No, I could get one and
a couple
drinks
to
wash it down. Just doing the math in my head, Matty. I like to budget for my meals.
Where you got Fedoni going?
I do think he's going to get paid, and I think he's going to get drafted. So I'll take anything 1 through 7, or 5 through 7.
So narrow down 1 to 7.
I just want him to get drafted, Matty, because I think you know how I feel about him as a person, and I just think he doesn't get here today without being some of the things that people get mad at him for. Right? He's competitive. He's going to tell you how he feels. He's emotional. But I think all that is, you don't battle back through what he's been through and being a guy that just takes it. You know what I mean?
His day will be made or diminished on the heavy blocking sled.
You think? With all the flexibility they let tight ends do?
Absolutely.
In line, out of line. Come on, man.
Absolutely.
You think Dalton Kincaid was held to the same? I don't know. Man.
Okay. Have you seen Dalton Kincaid go now?
Yeah.
I guess part of it. And the game is cyclical, right? So we had all these huge brain offensive gurus. Woo, we're going to chuck it all over here, and we're going to get this mismatch and blah. And then you had a group of ass kickers that rolled out and said, you know what? We're just going to shove it up your hoop, and we're going to see if you like it. And if you don't, great. Good luck beating us because we're better at it than you are. And now you got the Packers bitching because you got a great offensive line. You got a quarterback that can squat 600 pounds. You got a running back that can squat 600 pounds. And they just shove you out of the way when they need less than 2 yards. Like, football will go back to physicality. It's a copycat league, right? There'll be more teams that go get offensive linemen and want to make it nasty. Like, if I'm the happiest guy should be Genty. Because he's like, hey, I'm going to go somewhere where they want to get physical. And guess what? I'm really good at this running back position.
I don't like him near as much as most. I think, I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with me. I don't know.
we ain't got time for that, buddy.
Jeez.
You don't like Genty.
Not as much as everybody else. I just don't.
Do you like somebody better?
Yes. I like Ham from Carolina.
Of course. You're Carolina honk. You can't be a homer.
Have anything to do with wanting to be right or wrong. I hate our head basketball coach. Is that okay?
You don't like Hubert?
No. No. Hubert. Hubert. No.
That's blasphemous.
No.
By the way, all the stuff.
I like Caleb Johnson too. I like Caleb Johnson a lot from Iowa.
Okay. I'm with you on that. Yeah, that's good.
He's a stud.
But Genty's pretty damn good, bud.
Yeah, I probably should. I'm not saying he's not. I'm
good.
comparing my like for everybody. I mean, Dallas or some of these teams, they're going to take this dude in the top 14 picks. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know.
I got a question for your North Carolina.
What
people fandom? When the whole PC thing went through, how did Tar Heel survive? That's a legit question.
I've actually looked into this a lot, Verz.
You have?
No, I have because I was like, that seems super racist.
I know, right?
It does, right? So they claim that it has nothing to do with race, that it has to do with working the tar pits of North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And that was a general name for people that work the tar pits.
That one just came to me. I didn't even plan that one.
Yeah.
Normally the stuff for you I plan.
That's how your Cro-Magnon brain works.
Yeah,
I get it.
Look at that.
And that's how we ring out Black History Month here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Hey, man.
Jeez. Eating at this place a couple of times without me, you guys are in cahoots. It's cool.
No, not even that. Like, that question just came to me. I was like, man, how are they getting away with this?
Yeah, and Ravi's actually right. It's not what we think.
It sounds really bad, though. It really does.
It sounds terrible.
I had to do a pretty deep dive on it to be like, wait, how is this allowed? It's like we're not going to have Washington have that football team, right? But we're not doing – we're doing Tar Heel still?
Yeah. Suspect. Betting suspect fandom.
Your line of questioning is suspect.
Do you like Scattaboo?
I do as a player. As a human being, he seems kind of douchey.
Fair.
Little try hard.
You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey, bro, listen, man, I know the game. I understand the game. I'm watching you play it, and I'm a fan of what you do whilst playing. I don't need you to stand up and shoot the arrow thing. I don't need you. You got a first down. I saw you get it. I don't need you to signal it. How about you just go out and be that bitter?
Crazy when they kept panning the camera to him when he wasn't feeling well. I know stuff like that. Yeah, I get it.
And if you're going to be that guy that does the celebration thing, then be that guy every play. Like, be in there all the time. And if you're going to throw a halfback pass, maybe lead the guy. Maybe like throw it out past the defender so they don't have to cut back and make a miraculous play, and then you think you did something. Like, your back shoulder was just an underthrow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
it was.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I didn't know you had that little vitriol in you towards Cam.
Yeah, I just really like him. Like, I like guys that are pissed. And I think the story's cool where you start out at Sac State and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna bet on me. I'm betting 100% on me. I'm going. Okay. And you do it and you live up to it and you find the perfect coach who's going to trust you to do it. And then you go and do it. I would rather you, once you go and you make your yards, if you go back and go high five the 5 dudes that are by far outclassed by whoever they were whoever they were playing in the playoff.
Texas.
They're outclassed. They were outclassed in that game, but those dudes balled out like they played. And just go high five that guy.
Yeah, Dillingham is a dude.
Yeah, that's why that's why I wanted to ask you about it, because I felt like there was a lot that you might like about him.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, he's an aggressive downhill runner that has some shake to him.
Yeah, and has attitude, like he's mad.
Correct, but like, be mad and be in the game.
Yeah, dial down the douche by about 10%.
Yeah, and listen, man, you made it. You're America's sweetheart. Everybody loves you. You know, like, keep the pissed off to the opponent.
Iteration again. What was that?
Dial down the douche.
Wow.
Could I make the same argument though that like
you can make any argument you want to?
Well, you don't gotta be mad just because he's been roasting you a little bit.
Forget that, dude.
No, like I would kind of make the same argument about like Fedoni though too. Like the stuff that we like about him that makes him like Scatterboo mad all the time and competitive and like has that edge is kind of where the douche comes out too. Like, I don't know if you get one without the other, you know?
I think one had the opportunity. Ooh, I'm going to get myself out of this. Had the opportunity to prove it more. Like, one is a game changer and proved it week in and week out. And one, we needed to see a little bit more from.
Yeah, fair enough. That's our guy.
That's why I'll put up with Cam Scatterboo being a douche, because I get production.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And I'll deal with it. Like, listen, if I'm an NFL coach and they're like, we're getting Scatterboo, I'm like, you bet we are. Let's do this.
Yeah.
We'll put him in the backfield with Genty and we'll be great. We're going to run the wishbone.
Matt here for big backs. Big back, big back.
Yeah, them dudes can shake.
I got you. Relax.
That's our guy, Matt Vrzal. Verz, we appreciate it as always. We kept you a whole 4 extra minutes today because it's the
I'm not getting off.
And we're wild.
Thanks for joining us live from wherever we're broadcasting from.
I'm not getting off.
The Hurrdat Sports Grill.
That's
He's
right.
Ravi, Lulla. I'm Damon Benning. You guys have a great weekend.
Wow. Couldn't have said it any better.
See you, Verz. Have a good weekend, bud.
Dude is wild.
Well, we'll talk to you on Monday, everybody.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.